And we are live. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and you're watching ABL Live. Thank y'all for being here tonight. You could be anywhere in the whole wide world, but you're right here with me, and I most certainly appreciate y'all for that. There's a whole lot of things going on. We're going to talk about quite a few things. Of course, this virus thing is raging on. They're having all types of quarantine orders all around the country. They're tracking your cell phone data. There's a tool that can see what the travel is like in a particular city. So let's say they put a shelter in place order in, right? There's a tool, I think, from Google that will allow people in the city, the officials, to see if the order is being followed or not. One guy got sentenced, well, not sentenced, it's like a sentence, but he didn't commit a crime. Anyway, one guy, I think, had the virus and he was told to stay home. And he did not want to stay home, at least not a whole lot. And he was traveling quite a bit. So they were able to find that out, and then they put him on a ankle monitor. Now, is that legal? Can you put somebody on an ankle monitor that has not been convicted of a crime? Is that what we're gonna do? I think that might not really be the way to go. It seems like more and more rights are being taken away off of this little weak virus. Yes, I said weak virus. We'll talk about all that and much more on tonight's episode of ABL Live. And once again, I thank y'all for joining. Like I said, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're right here with me, and I most certainly appreciate you for that. Please like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. If you're listening on an audio streaming platform, please give me whatever you can over there. If it's 5 stars, if it's a review, a recommendation, a share, whatever you can over there, do that for me, and I'd appreciate that as well. And also subscribe. Shout out to all the new viewers. Shout out to all the new people that have found the channel. Before I even get into all the virus stuff, I was on an episode of Jubilee, Middle Ground. I don't know if you guys watched that or if you've ever seen their episodes or you saw mine, but basically you have 3 people on one side, 3 people on the other side, and they're trying to come to the middle on a particular topic. A lot of different things to talk about. They talk about capitalist versus communist or something crazy like that. Mine was black liberal versus black conservatives. So of course I'm on the other side of the conservatives. It was going to be 3-on-3, but it wound up being 3 conservatives. We'll talk about that in a minute, and then 2 liberals. But I think one of the liberals dropped out at the last minute. Like I'm talking about the morning of, they dropped out. So it wound up being 2-on-2. So it was cool. It was an interesting mix of people. If you have not seen it, it's on my page on the community section, or you could just search Jubilee Media, and then you'll probably see my episode pop up. It's a thumbnail. It says black liberals, black conservatives. It has one guy in a white hat who was not really a guy. It was a woman that was transgender. And then there was a young lady. I think she had, it was the adult woman, the older lady in the red. Yeah, shout out to you, Richard. Thank you for watching that. But now I shot that in LA. I flew to LA on my own dime, and this was like at the beginning of March. So this was not something I did like last week. They had it for a while, and they just edited it and released it in their schedule, whatever that was. So I thought it was a pretty good thing. And of course, like I said, it was heavily edited. So a lot of what was going on in there you didn't see. Like we got to one particular part where we were talking about transgenderism, and we were talking about Dwayne Wade's son. And then I was talking about, well, are we going to start putting 5-year-olds on puberty blockers, hormone blockers? Are we going to start to try to change children at a very young age because they think that they're transgender? You know, because Dwayne Wade's son, if you don't know, is 12 years old and is identifying as transgender. How are you allowed to do that at 12 years old? You can't get a tattoo. You can't smoke cigarettes. You can't drink beer. You can't get a job even at 12 years old. So how are you going to classify yourself as transgender? I'm not really sure how that works. And then some are going to say, well, Dwayne Wade's son didn't get any kind of surgery or any kind of hormone treatment, but you do have some children out there that are getting these drugs given to them at a very young age to interfere with their growth and development process to make them become something else. And that part didn't get put in the conversation. And I don't want to put anybody on blast because some people in there were trying to support that, like giving kids these drugs. And I'll just leave that there. But there was quite a bit that was not revealed, quite a bit that was edited out. And also, the format was not supposed to be a debate. It was more just a discussion. Because if it were a debate, then I would have talked the whole time and nobody would have got a word in edgewise. It probably would have been between me and the lawyer. I think her name was Elisa, the black liberal woman. If it were a debate, then nobody would have been able to talk. I was going to be able to dominate, but I was letting everybody else talk and get their point out and not interrupting them. So it was a good conversation, and I hope that people are able to see that and get something from it. Thank y'all for joining, though. I definitely appreciate you guys. And shout out to everybody that watched it. Beverly Frazier says, have you considered going to PBS for an interview? I'd love to. You know, I've done a lot of different interviews. I love to go on PBS. That'd be a good interview. I think it really depends on who's doing the interviewing. And is it going to be somebody that's trying to attack me? I don't like the attacking interviews because at that point it becomes a debate. But then they could kind of like say, I'm not trying to debate. It's just an interview. But really they want to try to like debate you. And I don't like things like that. If it's going to be a debate, let it be a debate. Don't let it be an interview. Don't let it be a debate disguised as an interview. Let's just stick to the particular format, you know? So I respect their format over at Jubilee, and I would expect anyone that I talk to do the same thing for me. Respect the format that we agree upon and have that be that. Don't let it be something else other than what you said from the beginning. Yep. Yeah, but I think that Longshot B says, I hate Jubilee. The editing is biased. Yeah, I think that their editing, I think that, I understand why you say that. I get it, but from being there and seeing what the final product was, I think they gave me a fair shake. They let me get out some of the most important points that I wanted to get out. They did not remove my part about when I said Dwayne Wade's son. I wanted to make that clear and not say Dwayne Wade's daughter. I don't think a 12-year-old should be allowed to be transgender, because if you allow a 12-year-old to consent to being transgender, then what else can they consent to? It's a slippery slope. Matter of fact, we already then came down the slope. We were at the base of the hill. So now it's like the next thing I'm talking about, it ain't like a big gulf between consenting for one thing and the other. You know what I'm talking about? So I won't get too explicit. It's right here. It's no degree of separation. It's the same. We're in the same boat. It's right there. It's not very far away. So if you want to be transgender as an adult, then go for it. Have a blast. Do whatever you want. But as a child, 12 years old, absolutely not. No way, Jose. Can't do nothing about that. All right. But thank y'all for being here. Most certainly appreciate you guys. Exactly. Undercover debate. I don't like undercover debates at all. None whatsoever. All right. But I'm reading some of the comments here, and the comments are jumping. Thank y'all for joining. BDB says, as a right-leaning Keynesian liberal, I do not like welfare programs. The role of government is infrastructure, defense, regulation, and foreign trade. Yeah, I'm with you right there 100%. The government should not be the focus of your life. The government should be in the background of your life, there to do things that a nation should do, but not to just interfere in your regular everyday walk in life. That's why I'm not liking this whole, you can't go here, you can't go there. I don't like all this regulation. We're seeing what regulation does to a country. We're seeing what regulation does to an economy and what it does to people. People like to be free more than they don't like to be free. People want to say, oh, well, I don't mind giving up some of my freedom for safety. But when it really comes down to it, they value their freedom. They value their freedom more than their safety, for sure. And if they don't realize that, they will realize that once freedom is taken away. Okay. I value my freedom more than my safety. I want to be safe, but I want to be able to protect myself. I want to be able to ensure my own safety, not have my freedom taken away so others can protect me for me. I don't need you to do that. If it's a virus going on and things are crazy, and you say, okay, here's what we know about how to control it. You wear gloves, a mask, wash your hands, social distancing. All right, cool. I got the tools to be able to handle it. Now, let me go out there and live my life. If I catch it, oh well, that's my risk. It's my choice. It's like if I get into a car and I crash it and get severely injured, oh well. I mean, that's my risk to get in the car. If I get into an airplane and it crashes, oh well, it's my risk. Getting in the airplane, it could crash. So let me just live my life. I value my freedom more than my safety because I'm able to ensure my own safety. But freedom is a thing that can be taken and regulated by the government. Now I can't move about and do things the way I want to do it to be able to have my life go the way that I want it. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I say that particular thing. All right. But thank y'all for joining yet again. Like the video if you've not liked it yet. I know I'm butchering your name. Adil. I know I butchered that. I'm sorry. Says humans are meant to be free. I'm an introvert, but even for me, it's getting uncomfortable. Exactly. I'm not necessarily a big social butterfly. I am when I want to. Like, I'm the kind of guy that I love to be out talking to people when I want to, but then when I want to be by myself totally. Okay, I'm just kind of like, I can be hot and cold like that, but for me, it's all about balance. When I don't have balance, then it becomes an issue. When I want to be by myself, okay, cool. But when I don't want to be by myself, when I do want to go out, when I do want to go travel, when I do want to go just ride in my car, I don't want to be restricted like that because now we got some issues. You got some really serious issues that are going to have to be addressed for sure. So I'm right there with you, man. Yeah, a lot of people that, don't really be out a lot, it's still for them even uncomfortable because this is not a natural way of being. You still want to have some freedom here. All right. But now, is this Massachusetts getting out of control? They shut the beaches down? Yeah, Massachusetts or Maine. What's that abbreviation? Yeah, but it's crazy. It's really a mess. They're shutting everything down. I saw one video. That might be what you're talking about, where they're shutting beaches down. They put up a fence. Now they got that fence up so quick. They're talking about they can't build a wall. I can't tell. They got that fence up in the day. They got that fence up in like 10 hours or less. They fenced off the entire beach so you can't even drive on the beach or go to the beach. It's like, I don't understand that. It's like, why can't I go to the beach? Why can't I even, like, one guy got arrested on a paddle boat out in the ocean with nobody around him. It's like, why are you getting arrested for being on the paddle boat? Talking about, oh, he's not conforming to social distancing. It's like he's in the ocean. There's nobody around him. There's nobody there. I mean, I can understand if it's like 1,000 people, but there's nobody around. Let that man be. It's really just a mess. All right. But yeah, shout out to Candace Owens. She's going to be running. Now, I don't think she announced where she's going to run or who's going to be against. But if I was a betting man, I would say that she would run against AOC in her district in New York. I'm not sure I think she lives in New York, but I'm not really sure where she lives in New York or not. I think she's from like Pennsylvania, Philly, somewhere like that. But I think she lives in New York with her husband. So she could run against AOC. Now that'd be a sight to see. That would be something. But see, the issue is Candace is a bona fide celebrity. We all know who she is. She's like, one of our champions in this movement, right? But the problem is that particular district of New York, they vote Democrat no matter what. And they have been voting Democrat no matter what since the beginning. Okay, you're talking about what? Like, since what? Joe Crowley had been like a 9-term guy in office until AOC came in 2018 now. So they're going to vote Democrat regardless of what. And a lot of these people may not even think to vote a different way. A lot of illegal aliens or whatnot. So it's going to be an uphill climb to win that particular district. I think running in a place where it's more likely to win would be the best bet, in my humble opinion. But we'll see how that works. We'll definitely see how that works. Shout out to Jonestown Autopsy, who says, Hashtag we are in this together, but please stay the H away from me. Thank you for that, man. Definitely appreciate you. Thank you to Charles Turner Jr., who says, those who trade freedom for security deserve neither. Benjamin Franklin, we must not give up more of our freedoms. They slowly do it to people. They slowly do it and people are less likely to protest. Exactly. And then they'll say, oh, it's temporary. You're losing your freedom temporarily. You're on curfew temporarily. We're closing this temporarily. You can't drive here temporarily. But then when they see the benefits, because they're already talking about, oh, crime is down 25% in New York. So when they see the benefits of it, they may try to keep some of that around. Some of these tools are developing to track your movements, to see what the traffic is like, what the human traffic is like, not just on the road, but just in general, where you're going and how long you're there and whatnot. They're going to use that in the future to do certain things. In my humble opinion, if you're developing tools like this, the question is, did you already have it developed? Were you already using it? Or was it developed for this particular reason? And if you're already using it, what were you using it for? That's my question. And if you continue to use it, what are you going to use it for? Not for the virus anymore. So it'll be something else. So yeah, I'm not a fan of giving up all my freedom, all my liberty, because people are scared of the virus. If I catch it, I catch it. Oh, well, just like anything else. You know, anything can happen at any point in time. Life is not guaranteed. No human being is immortal. So all I can do is just take the best precautions I can to preserve my life. That's it. I can't do nothing else. If it's time, it's time. It is what it is. Shout out to Claudia for the donation, who says, thanks for being you. Well, thank you for your emoji donation. I most certainly appreciate you. And I think we got somebody else. Shout out to Charles Turner Jr., who says, ABL, what's up, man? Everything's good. This idea of voting by mail grinds my gears and it burns my biscuit. And Washington and Oregon, we have it, and it's easy for cheating to occur. Exactly. See, that's a good segue into the whole voting by mail thing. I think Pelosi and the Democrats are trying to propose that. They're trying to say voting by mail is a good thing. But what they really want to do is to be able to fraud the system, to cheat the system. It's the same reason why they don't want voter ID. Okay? They don't want voter ID because they want people that vote that are dead, people that vote that are felons and everything else, you know, identity theft, all that good stuff. You know, the craziest part about this whole thing of people that have different identities, identity theft, still on social security cards and whatnot, the Democrats try to like downplay it. They'll try to downplay identity theft, talking about, oh, well, they use a person's ID and their social. It's like, what? If I use someone else's ID and their social, that's called identity theft. That's a very serious crime. People are losing their shirt behind that. That's something that can haunt you for years because of the financial implications. So it's not a thing to be downplayed, but you have to understand when the Democrats want to win something, when they know their candidate on stage is a walking, talking corpse. You understand what I'm saying? Just being all the way blunt. Matter of fact, I think Trump said a thing that encapsulates this pretty well about Joe Biden, but I'll get back to that in a moment. Joe Biden does not really know what's going on, so you got to do other things to try and secure the election or to try your best to defeat Trump. Speaking of Trump and what he said about Joe Biden, it may be kind of harsh, but at the same time, you got to be real about what you're saying. Don't sugarcoat it. Check this out.
To do, I don't want to comment as to whether or not, but I agree with their decision 100%. In the back, please.
Joe Biden actually just attacked you in a tweet. I don't know if you have seen it.
He just what?
Attacked you. He just said.
Well, he didn't write anything. Look, here's people, here's professionals from the Democrats
Mr. President,
writing.
let me just read what he said. He said Donald Trump is not responsible for the coronavirus, but he is responsible for failing to prepare our nation to respond to it. How do you respond to that, sir?
He didn't write that. That was done by a Democrat operative. He doesn't write. He's probably not even watching right now. And if he is, he doesn't understand what he's watching. But just
Exactly. That right there, that nailed it. There's more, but that was the main thing. The quote, if you didn't catch it, when the lady was asking Trump about a tweet that Joe Biden allegedly wrote, which of course he didn't write it because Joe Biden don't even know which way is up and which way is down at this particular point. The quote from Trump goes as follows. He didn't write that. That was done by a Democrat operative. He doesn't write. He's probably not even watching right now. And if he is, he doesn't understand what he's watching. Like, that was deep. That was really simple, straight to the point, but deep. Deep as the water is blue. You understand? Like, he does not understand what's going on. People are they're telling him what's happening. And he's having a hard time even repeating what people are saying to him because he's not really there. You know, it's not even, it can be funny, it can be a joke, but it's serious. Like, that guy is running to be the president, and he's obviously having some cognitive problems. Trump just put it in a way that was right on point. He was like, man, he don't know what's going on. He's like, he don't even understand what's going on. Imagine Trump in a debate with, like, that right there. Imagine an hour of that in a debate or more, 2 hours of that in a debate or more with Joe Biden. They need to get him out of, the Democrats need to go rescue Joe Biden from being the nominee. Throw in Andrew Cuomo, throw in somebody, please come in there that can actually, you can even throw in Bernie Sanders, for goodness gracious. I mean, somebody that understands what's happening and has not got one foot in their grave. You understand what I'm saying? That's all. Simple as that. All right. Yeah, Joe Biden don't know what's going on. Joe Biden is the kind of guy that probably can't even turn his phone on. You understand? So, nah, come on. Now, to be fair, Trump does not write all of his tweets because you can't at a certain point. Like, if you are trying to run the country, you're not going to have time to write everything. But I think Trump has a clear understanding of what's going on around him. He's not having a team of people work on social media because he can't do things himself. He does that for time's purposes. But when a thing comes from Joe Biden, it's not like Joe Biden would say it. See, the thing about Trump, he may be having a meeting or doing something, multitasking, and then say, hey, put this on Twitter, and then the guy or the girl does it. But Joe Biden is just basically a body. They even wrote an article about Joe Biden being a body, talking about all we need is his corporeal presence. That just means we need him to be the body. We need him to physically be there, and that's it. It don't matter if you're dead, alive, whatever. Just be there, okay? We'll make sure that you have what you need. You'll have your talking points. You'll have your speeches written. You'll have everything done for you. Just report to work. Here's what you got to do. That's it. and they'll do really easy things. This whole virus kerfuffle has shielded him. Because imagine if he was have to go out there being on the campaign trail, it was already a disaster. And I don't think that he's going to get any better. I think that he'll probably decline further into madness, but I digress. Thank y'all for joining. I appreciate you guys. Hit the like button for me if you've not done so already. I know I said that a lot, but it's fine. Oh, and I see a comment right here from Alan. It says WHCA is fake news, just letting who they want in the White House needs to change this. OAN, yeah. Talking about that, I did a video about the WHCA banning OAN from the White House press briefing room. Now, the WHCA, that's the White House Correspondents. Hold on. Yeah, the White House Correspondents Association. They have that dinner every year that is like a roast of the president and other people, but that's a different story, and I digress. The point is that they are in the White House. They're a group of journalists. Their job is to give credentials to journalists to cover the president inside the White House. Now, OAN was a guest of, I think her name is Stephanie Grisham, who is the White House press secretary, okay? They had Chanel Rion in the back of the room asking Trump questions. Now, the WHCA got butthurt about her being there, talking about, oh, she's violating social distancing. But how can you violate social distancing when you're like all the way in the back? I'm talking about all the way, nowhere near the front at all the way in the back. If I can find a picture right quick, I'll put it up on the screen. But she was all the way in the back, nowhere near the front. So the reason why they got her out is because the WHCA wants to protect themselves. The leader of the WHCA, I think his name is, what's a man's name? Jonathan something from ABC. I want to say Katz. That's not his name, though. But the guy that's like the president of WHCA from ABC does not like Trump. Big time never Trumper. And he puts out like little op-eds and think pieces against him. So with people like that in there and Oh, Jonathan Carl. I want to say it's Stephen Katz. Jonathan Carl, that's his name. From ABC News. He's the president of WHCA. He's put out all kind of hit pieces and negative things against Trump. And when you look at the people that are there, you don't really see anybody that's conservative at all. I mean, you have Carl from ABC, Zeke Miller, Associated Press, which is really a shame what they've become. They've become kind of a liberal rag equivalent to New York Times at this particular point in time. They used to be neutral, but no longer. Anyway, Secretary is Ty Gilman from Dallas Morning News. Treasurer Doug Mills, New York Times, speaking of the devil. Board member Stephen Portnoy, CBS. Tamara Keith, NPR. Finn Gomez, CBS. You get the point. You don't have anybody from a conservative outlet. So when you have Chanel Rion from OAN, One America News Network, an upstart conservative station that's getting a lot of attention. They're getting a lot of praise from the president as well. Okay. When she comes in there as a guest of the press secretary, now that's got to be a problem. So they got to get her out of there talking about she was not social distancing, this BS. She was all the way in the back. She was so far in the back you couldn't even see her. So it's like, what are we really talking about? Let's just be honest with each other. Let's not play these silly games. Let's just be real. But hey, it is what it is. Thank you to Chris 1408 to upgrade into the ABL squad. I appreciate you 100%. Oh yeah, Newsmax. Shout out to Newsmax. They're good as well. All day long. And you know, these networks coming up is Herring Networks owns OAN. Now, what is Herring Networks? I'm not sure about that. I don't know about a leadership or whatever. Gateway Pundit. It's a lot of upstart news organizations that are coming out right now, or that have been around for a little while, but not very long. And they're becoming successful. They're gaining traction because the old school legacy media are just falling apart. So it's like, what are we really doing? All right, Chris, upgrading to ABL Superstar. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. But yeah, these organizations are coming about out of necessity. Necessity is a mother of innovation. That's why they're coming out. That's why they're doing very well. In the old school media, they got to hate on them. It's the same thing they do to us on YouTube and everywhere else. They want to hate on us, talking about, oh, we don't have any real sources. We're just entertainers, all this, that, and the third, because ain't nobody watching them. And I saw the crescendo of the animus between the legacy media and the upstarts, some of the influencers and some of the, James O'Keefe, that type of people. I saw it earlier this year, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been last year, at the social media conference at the White House. Oh man, they were so upset. You had the guy from Playboy, Brian Karam, tried to fight Sebastian Gorka. It was a mess. It was a big, crazy, stinking mess, because they know they're out of the way. Like, who's reading Playboy? Who reads Playboy? Even though now it's no more nudity in it, but still, who's going to just sit down and read that like it's a real thing to read? I mean, come on. Playboy, they're going out of business. They're becoming extinct. And we are replacing them, and they're upset. They're hating. That's why Chanel Rion and OAN, not just Chanel for violating the quote-unquote social distancing, which she wasn't. Not just Chanel, but the entire OAN. That's why they're being banned from the White House press briefing room, because of the hate from the legacy, old school, dying, fossilized media. But I'll move on. Thank y'all for joining. Yeah, Candace can't do it by herself. Hey, whoever, needs help that's out there that can really get something moving and shaking, help however you can. Now, the question is, who's going to actually take AOC's seat? Because I think AOC is not going to be able to win. AOC can't win. And AOC, like somebody said about AOC losing New Yorkers, a lot of jobs, a lot of money. People know that. They recognize that. So if somebody runs against her that people like in that particular area, I think that person will win. But the question is, now that AOC has the fame from being in Congress, on social media, a lot of followers, now that she has that, what's going to be the next step? Will she try to become a mayor, a governor? What's she going to do? I mean, the question has to be asked. Or will she be able to win still, even though she lost all those jobs and all that money because people in that particular district are just so attached to the Democratic Party and to AOC. I'm not really sure. Cory Booker. Now, Cory Booker can't be the next AOC because Cory Booker does not have any kind of charisma at all. He's like a Jeb Bush type guy. You understand? Like, he can be not even a Jeb Bush. Where he's at is where he's at. He can't really go too far and beyond that. They tried to get him out there to have him run for president. They gave him this little sham story talking about, oh, he's heterosexual with a girlfriend. Oops, did I say that? But I'll move on. Anyway, they gave him this fake story and nobody really bought it. Okay, they thought they can just put him in there. He'd be the next Barack Obama. He's relatively young to be a politician, but not really that young. Young enough to not look like he's Joe Biden in the face, like he's about 1 foot in the grave, but old enough to be respected. You understand? Not like Pete Buttigieg, who's like 25. But anyway, they thought it would work. They thought it would be a slam dunk, but it just didn't happen for him. Just too goofy, too awkward. Not the kind of guy that could be like Barack Obama. And I think Barack Obama was kind of a flash in the pan, a thing that really can't be, kind of like a shooting star. You can't duplicate a shooting star. It just it happens or it doesn't. They tried to do it with Cory Booker and it just didn't work. With Barack Obama, although it may have been something that was engineered for many years, it felt like it was more natural. But with Booker and everybody else, it just, especially nowadays with social media, we can see everything you do. We can put it into a chronological order in video. Like, we can condense 10 years into 2 minutes of video. So we can see what has been going on and how a person has been groomed to be in a particular situation. And we recognize that is fake and it's phony. Therefore, that person has less of an ability to succeed because of that. Back in the day when there was not as much info available, somebody could kind of rise to the top and it would seem like it was organic because we did not have information readily available about their previous life, about what they were doing before they came into office, if that makes any sense. So no, Booker has no chance at all. He might as well just come out. He should just go ahead and come out as gay and ride that wave and see if he can make some money from that. But I'll digress. Shout out to everybody in the super chats. Thank you to Nathan, who says, appreciate you, sir. I appreciate you as well. Thank you for the super chat. Shout out to Joshua Perez, who says, after this is over, people in blue cities, 10 out of 10, might not shake hands again. Majority of people in blue cities are very weak and love big government. Sad. Yeah, that's a very good point. Very, very good point. You know, people are so afraid. Like, even out here, I'm in a conservative area, especially when you get further out into the county area, very conservative. People are wearing masks, gloves. I'm seeing like bandanas. I'm seeing everything. Okay. People are really scared. And after it's over, do you just go back to normal? Or is it a new normal? I'm not really sure, but thank you for the donation. Shout out to the Fit Accountant who says, with the quarantine, I'm curious, where are all the homeless tent cities in California? It seems like it's not a problem anymore. That's a good question. That is a very good question because I've not heard about the homeless situation. I mean, if there's a quarantine and you got to have a curfew, where are homeless going to go? They are outside because that's where they live at. So how are they going to go anywhere else? That's a very good question. Maybe a lot of them aren't really homeless. You know, a lot of these panhandlers aren't really homeless. Yeah, that could be it because I've seen guys on the median with a sign. You know what I'm talking about too. Can I get some change? I ran out of gas. I need diapers, this, that, and the third. I've seen one of you guys pull out cell phones. You got a whole iPhone, sir. I'm not giving you $1. How about you go back to your house and stop being out here panhandling, lying to the people? So a lot of these fake homeless people are gone back home. That's probably what's going on. People that are kind of proud and don't really want to be up under their parents or something like that are going back home. Of course, there are some that are legitimately homeless. I don't really know where they are. That's a good question, though. Shout out to Joshua Perez, who says Florida is the most sane of the stay home. I've not seen their particular order. I'd look into it. Thank you for that. Shout out to Max Dominguez, who said, thanks again, ABL. No problem. Thank you. Shout out to my man Chris for upping it up. Thank you for that. Thank you to Shiva Varane, who says Creep Joe has 1 foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel. No one has time for that. We appreciate you too, ABL. Hey, thank you. Thank you for your donation. That's hilarious. I appreciate that. Shout out to my man Jericho Green, who says Pelosi pandemic committee equals another hand in your pocket. Exactly. They're trying to do this whole thing talking about, oh, well, we got to investigate where the money went and if there's any kind of waste, fraud, or abuse. It's like waste, fraud, and abuse. The waste, fraud, and abuse is in the bill itself. 25 million, oh, excuse me, 25 million to the Kennedy Center. The Kennedy Center got 25 million people and then laid off their orchestra. Like the next day, they laid them off. So if you're laying off people, where is the millions of dollars going? Like, what you need a new roof or something? I mean, I did not think that the bill to help with the coronavirus was to help old buildings get remodeled. I did not think that's what that was for, but apparently so. If you're getting $25 million and you can't keep staff on staff, it doesn't make any sense to me, but I'll move on. Shout out to my man, Jericho Green. And if you're not subbed to him yet, go ahead and do that right now. Do it expeditiously. Shout out to Jay Smith, who says, we are on martial law, forced to wear masks, forced to stay home. Don't you believe it's time to call them out? Dr. Goebbels, Fauci loves seeing us people comply. Thank you for the donation, man. Definitely appreciate it. Now, I will say that Fauci is an issue. I will say he's an issue. I think Trump is caught between the rock and the hard place because you need experts on the squad, yes. And this guy, Fauci, been around since, Reagan? So who do you get to replace him as an expert on a situation if you get rid of him? And if you do get rid of him, what kind of signal are you sending to the American people? Oh, you don't trust the experts and you want to do things yourself. You think you're a doctor, all this, that, and the third. So it's a weird situation to be in. Now, as far as the mask, we're not forced to wear a mask. I think Trump even said it himself. He said it's a recommendation and I'm not going to do it. He said that on TV. So it's not about being forced to wear a mask. I think the particular thing that happens in your area is based upon your local government. I think that's really what's going on. So I'm not a fan of Fauci or the recommendations that some particular places have as orders, but I think we need to just focus the energy where it needs to be focused on rather than just kind of like scorched earth type thing. Hey, Nevada Maverick, you're right. Trump needs Dr. Shiva. Yes, Dr. Shiva, if you're listening, you need to be, they need to get you on the administration. He's right on point. Dr. Shiva, because he's been saying the same thing that I have been feeling for a while. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find a tweet from him that I retweeted recently. Here it is. I'm pulling it up on the screen too. This is a very good one. He says, hold on. Oh, I think I lost it. Let me bring it back up in a moment. Okay, let me bring that tweet back. How did I lose that tweet? That's weird. Anyway, I'll get it back. But he basically said that Dr. Shiva is an issue. He's definitely an issue, and that issue should be addressed for sure. Ain't no doubt about it. All right, but let me see. I want to find that tweet now. Now it's like you had something that you wanted to queue up and you couldn't find it. Now you got to. Yeah, I'll find it. Oh, here it is. That's what I wanted. Okay, got it. And if you are not able to see it on the screen like I am right now, it says the biggest fear-mongering hoax is underway. Our country is headed to become a colony of China. Anthony Fauci must be fired and indicted. 100%. I've been saying the same thing. It's like people say, oh no, ABL, trust the experts. I said it a while ago that I'm tired of Fauci out. This tweet from Shiva was on April 3rd. That was yesterday at about 4:15. Now, I'm going to find my tweet where I said a similar thing to that. And people kind of attacked me for it. Okay. Now, this was on March 24th. I'm fed up with Fauci, out. You know, because my thing with Fauci is that he's inciting panic among the people. 200,000 deaths, widespread, never shake hands again. It's like, come on, man. Like, this is not how you handle a thing like this. You're just making it worse. Like, you making things worse is not going to reduce the deaths. So what are we even doing? And the crazy part is that a video of him surfaced during H1N1 in 2009 under Barack Obama. He was cool as a fan. It wasn't no doom and gloom and all this and that. He was fine. But now all of a sudden it's an issue. It's crazy. I'm not saying the virus ain't real and people aren't being affected, but good grief. I mean, there's plenty of viruses that come about every year and that do damage. The best you can really do, because I'm hearing people are getting sick while they're being quarantined. People say, well, I did everything I'm supposed to do. I quarantined, I stayed at home, I washed my hands, I put the mask on, and I still got it. And then the quote unquote experts want to change their particular views midway through the game. Because at first, what was the recommendation about masks? Do not wear a mask. Why? Because if you don't have symptoms, you don't need to wear a mask. The mask is only to prevent you from spreading it to somebody else. Only wear a mask if you have the virus or if you have symptoms. That was what they said, right? Now, all of a sudden, it's everybody wear a mask. Experts say everybody wear a mask. What? So what are we even talking about? I mean, first you said don't, now you say do. So which one is it? And now you way late in the game. It's already April. I could have already had my mask in February, but I'm late. So now it's going to be a rush on the mask. Maybe they were saying that to keep people from, buying a bunch of masks. But if they need them, why wouldn't they buy them? I don't really understand. And if it was a way to prevent the disease from spreading, then why shouldn't you have it? It doesn't make any sense. Why say all these things? Social distancing, hand sanitizer, wash your hands, stay at home, but forget a big key. Oh, and wear a mask. How about that? I ain't gonna tell you to wear a mask because you might run on them. Give me all the information I need. Don't hold things from me and let me make my own decision up. How about that? And if we needed masks, and that was known from the beginning, how about you have a better supply or a better way to be able to do this? I'm not a fan of the whole thing with these so-called experts. They say one thing one minute and something different the next minute. Not a fan. Can somebody please explain 5G? People are talking about 5G is killing me. How? And my question is this. Okay, where I'm at right now in my house. Okay, my router for my high speed. Okay, just pause for a moment. Okay. In my house, I have 1,000 gigabyte up and down internet. It's called, they call it the gig. 1,000 gigabyte up and down. The router is right there. Okay, I got 2 cell phones, okay? 4G, LTE, Wi-Fi. I got a whole computer right here. Monitors, cameras. So, am I not getting radiation right here? I mean, why is 5G worse than what is going on right here? I'm just trying to figure that out. If you have a TV with a coaxial cable on the back, which you should, you can connect the antenna to that and get HD TV through an antenna. Now, how was that getting to your house? Yeah, like, let's just talk about that. That's what I'm trying to, why is 5G worse than all the things I mentioned? That's all I want to know. I just want to know what's going on. And for real, 5G is already here. 5G is not something that's new. It's already here. You can look right now and, and see what's going on. My man Sushi says 5G fear equals 10-foot hat wearers, 100%. That's pretty much where I'm at. Joseph Crow says 5G is a much shorter wavelength. Carla says 5G is built by the Chinese, so they spy on us. Let me see. Yeah, 5G is already here. 5G is everywhere. 5G is not, if 5G is killing me, then so is everything else. So what should I be worried about? Let me see. Durner 1804 says if 5G is killing you, then his house is clean enough because radiation to kill you will most definitely kill a virus, but isn't. There it is. Alrighty. Let me see. 5G is creepy because it can track how many times you open the refrigerator each day. How can 5G track a thing like that? If you have a fridge that is like Wi-Fi connected or something like that, I guess it can. If you have a smart fridge, it can. But if you have a regular refrigerator with no kind of electronics on it, how can it track what you do with your refrigerator? And if you have a smart refrigerator, then it doesn't matter if you have 5G or not. it's going to track what you do. Anything that you have on you can track what you do. A regular cell phone on 4G, even 3G, can track what you do if you allow it to do that. You know, that's pretty much what's going on. Now, okay, NKM says 5G mobile data will allow Google to collect more data on you. How? How is a faster connection going to, because let's be clear. Okay, in my house, I said I have 1,000 up, 1,000 down. My phones are connected. My phones are on this network. 1,000 up internet, 1,000 down. Same as a computer right here that I'm looking right in. So data, I mean, if it's about collecting data, they got it already. So why should I be worried about 5G? I just don't understand. Like, I want somebody to send me a video explaining 5G and why it's dangerous and why I should be afraid. Jeff Bentley says 5G is non-ionized. It is harmless. Well, thank you to Yeah, That's Right. Coming all the way from Sweden. Shout out to you. The birds that fell from the sky. I mean, why did the birds fall from the sky? That's the question. Birds fall from the sky because of solar panels, because of the heat. That's the problem, is the heat. Now, what's going to generate more heat, a 5G tower or a solar farm? Think about it. If you got a solar farm in the desert, like, it's going to generate a ton of heat. That's how it generates energy, is through the heat that it generates. And that's why you got to have sun. When there's no sun, you can't generate the electricity. You can't have power when there's no sun because you can't generate the heat from the sun. So it is what it is. Let me see. Nicholas Brown says Wi-Fi and 4G is both bad. So is 5G. Use Ethernet. Many studies on it already. 5G phone and 5G Wi-Fi is different. Well, I use Ethernet as well, but my router is still wireless as well. Like, it's not just, Ethernet only. But there's still plenty of waves in the air. Even if I don't have a router in my house, you still got waves in the air coming from towers, from your TV towers and other cell phone towers. That's still in the air. You're driving around, you're going to be exposed to that. The power lines. I mean, that's a lot of energy in the power lines too. And then you have nuclear power. You have fracking. Yes, it's a lot more things to be concerned about than 5G. I think 5G is a nothing burger, in my humble opinion. Hot Wings has a really good take on it right here. Hot Wings says 5G and Wi-Fi 6 are hyped to sell products. Yeah, because really what's going on right now, we're talking about 5G a lot from the point of view of it being potentially harmful, but what we're also doing is promoting it. Because if you didn't know about 5G before, you're learning about it right now, and you might say, hey, that ain't nothing, that's harmless. Oh, it's faster than 4G? Let me get the 5G phone, because let's be clear. Your phone right now that you have probably does not have 5G capability in it. You have to get a phone that's compatible with 5G. It's like a TV. If you want to see 4K content, you got to get a 4K TV. If you want to get 5G speeds, you need a 5G phone. Your 4G iPhone 10 is not going to cut it. You got to get a 5G iPhone, and they don't have one yet. I think the one they're coming up with next will be 5G compatible. And they'll sell out like it ain't nothing. They'll fly like hotcakes because everybody wants to have 5G, because what's happening right now is that we're promoting it. That's a very good take from Hot Wings. Shout out to you. Alrighty. Yeah, I saw that, Omar Adams. People are burning down 5G transmitters. It's like, why you burn down a transmitter? Like, if it's radiation and it's dangerous, why would you get that close to it to burn it down? I don't understand. That's like burning down a nuclear power plant. How does it make any sense? But shout out to all you guys in the building. Shout out to Jay Smith. I think I already read that one. Shout out to, let me see. Oh, shout out to my man Killer Sushi, who says, anyone notice that the sanctuary cities that do not comply with federal laws are now asking for federal help? Good point. Hope everyone is doing well. Heart emoji. Thank you for that, man. Definitely appreciate it. That's a very good point. Oh, we don't want to abide by the federal government's rules about illegal immigration, right? We want to be a sanctuary city, right? We want to be able to sell weed, right? Oh, no, but now we need help from the federal government. Please rescue us. Very good point. Shout out to Curls It Is, who says, did you see the video of a ton of citizens going to local hospitals and they are empty except personnel wearing hazmat? I've not seen all the videos, but I have seen some, and that's just what's going on. The hospital boat that went to New York does not have many patients on it. It's like 12 people on it. And I think the boat was to have non-COVID patients, non-China virus patients to alleviate some of the strain on the hospitals. But they don't have that many people there. So what's going on with this big strain if you only got 12 people in there on an 8,000 bed ship? But I'll move on. Shout out to Nippon, who says, can less people die? I'm not really sure what you mean. Thank you for that, man. Definitely appreciate you. Shout out to Chris 1408, who says liberalism is more dangerous than 5G. Hey, there you go. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking. Hey, fantastic. Thank you for that, man. Definitely appreciate you. Shout out to Noreen Ryan, who says if voting by mail is allowed, the majority of votes will be illegal. It would be most likely over for conservatives. Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's all I was saying earlier. The voting by mail situation is because they want to be able to fraud the system. They want to manipulate the system. They want to cheat the system. All right. They want dead people to vote, illegal aliens to vote, people that have stolen identities to vote, people that should not have voting rights, felons, violent felons, people that touch kids, all kind of stuff like that. OK, so it's a way to cheat the system. It shouldn't be that difficult to go to a place and vote. All right. Just have your ID, show it to the person and vote. Make it simple. Go to the place and vote. I've seen long lines for things that are less important. The Jordans come out. Do they still do Jordan lines? I never was in the Jordan line. I never participated in that whole culture. I was always the kind of guy that wear what I got on for the most part, especially as an adult. But the Jordan lines, when a new shoe comes out from Michael Jordan, or really it's old shoes will come out again, but that's a different story. I'll move on. Anyway, the new shoe comes out the day before, the day of, early in the morning, whatever it is, it'll be this big down the block, this big line. People waiting on the shoe to come out. So they're waiting in this big line to spend money, to give money for a pair of shoes, $200, $300. I've seen people be in that line and steal shoes, go to jail and everything for stealing Jordans. So you stand in line to steal shoes. Crazy. And I've also seen Black Friday. That's an obvious one. All right, you got a flat screen TV for $3,000 or whatever it is. You be in line for that. Right around the block. It don't matter if it's cold, if it's wet, windy, snowing. It's all good. You're going to be out there waiting for that particular deal to come on, and you'll fight each other to spend that kind of money. But voting is free, ain't it? But somehow it's too hard to come out your house, throw some drawers on, and stand in line to go vote for free. But it's perfectly easy and fine to go stand in a long line to spend $200, $300, $5,000, $10,000, all the money you got to your name, run up credit cards and everything else. I mean, where are our priorities? I can't really tell. And that brings us to my point. If we could do all those things, surely we can go vote with an ID. All right. If you want to get some cigarettes, alcohol, if you even want to get too much ibuprofen, if you want to get a prescription medication from your doctor, you got to have an ID. But voting, you can just go in there and say, yeah, my name is Kareem Akbar, and I come from the Philippines. Let me come vote. It's ridiculous. But anyway, I'll move on. We got a whole lot of stuff going on. The virus is still raging. I can't wait. You know what I hope? What I hope is that on Easter Sunday, these rules and stuff are gone. I think what you're going to end up seeing is a reduction in, you're going to see the peak come. We might be in the peak right now. They said the peak might hit like Easter. I think the peak is right now. You're going to see less deaths like tomorrow or the next day. And it's going to be a sharp decline in the deaths because it's starting to get warm. It was like 75 degrees today where I'm at. It was a beautiful day. You seeing the hills and the trees are getting the color back. It's nice. People are going to be outside. They're going to be hanging out. You can't really enforce the social distancing on everybody. They're going to get back to normal. They're going to get back rocking and rolling. And what's going to happen as a result is people are going to go back to work. You can't just restrict these things but for so long. Matter of fact, where I live, there are signs on the door of a lot of businesses that say we come back on the 14th or the 13th. Like all this shelter in place, all this, that, and the third, they're not going to let it stand, but for so long. And people are the same way. They're like, all right, you got 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, you're coming back. It ain't gonna be no more shelter in place. It ain't gonna be no more, you gotta wear a mask. No, we're coming back and do something about it. That's pretty much what it's gonna be. See, the thing about it, NKM, it's not necessarily rules, it's recommendations. It's a matter of saying, well, we recommend that you have social distancing and you wear your mask. It's not a rule. It can only be a rule if your local government says. So if your mayor says, okay, you can't have a business open until April 30th, then that's what it's going to be. If they don't do that, then it's up to the people that live in a particular place to open whenever they're going to open and do whatever they're going to do. It's up to them. Like, I went to a place today and on their website, it says, we're open for takeout. You can sit in, but it's kind of frowned upon by the government. You understand what I'm saying? So that's kind of pretty much where that is. So now it's going to be a wrap. It's going to be a wrap soon. It's like 75 degrees. Nah, it's pretty much over. Animated Music says, AB, we're not going back. It's the end, boss. It's the end of what? It's the end of the quarantine? We're not going back. We're not going back to quarantine. How about that? Sushi says, NC courts are closed until June 1st. Wow. For what, though? Like, June? I mean, it's overkill. And I saw that in Virginia, our trusty black-faced governor, I'm not there anymore, unfortunately, but fortunately as well, my former governor, Ralph Northam, said that they're going to have their rules in place until June 10th. Now, that's a very interesting date because the primary election day is June 9th. How convenient is that? Your rules let up one day after the primary. Why not one day before? I mean, what's the difference between June 8th and June 10th? See, they're trying to play games. And I seen it coming. People are going to take this whole tragedy and let it be done. They're going to use it for whatever they want to use it for. And I'm not really a fan. Not a fan at all. And shout out to the super chatters right quick before we get to the calls. And you guys on the drill, the number to call is 434-658-1220. But before we get to that, let me get to the super chats. Shout out to Nippin who says, I meant CNN. Okay, I got you. And he said, CNN lies, people die. I got you. Thank you for that. Shout out to William Garcia who says, there are still Jordan and Yeezy lines. I'm a sneakerhead and I know about that, but I'd rather just buy them online. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Okay. If you want to send in a line, anybody out there for a pair of shoes, and go for it. But also do that for voting. And it shouldn't be hard. And if people can do that, then people shouldn't say that it's hard to stand in line and go vote for free with your ID. Shout out to Be Real who says, I went to the hospitals here in the Bronx because the media and the governor said the hospitals are overwhelmed, but they were empty and quiet. Something's up. That's what I want to know. Like, what's really going on? If the hospitals are overwhelmed, then I mean, where is all this? Is it one hospital that's overwhelmed? I saw this story of nurses coming from Atlanta, Georgia, or that particular area up to New York to help. And then one lady came out. This is on Fox News, by the way. One lady came out, the nurse, and said, take it seriously. I didn't know how bad it was, so I got in there. It was madness. It was chaos. But for some reason, people are not able to find the madness and the chaos to the point where you have CBS using fake footage from Italy. Well, it was real footage, but it was not New York footage. It was Italian footage. So if it's that bad, if things are in such dire straits, why must you use footage that comes from a whole different country? You couldn't even find a place in the U.S. that had that kind of footage in the hospital, and it didn't even look that bad. It was like 8 people in the bed and some nurses just kind of running around. It wasn't even really like pandemonium. It seemed pretty calm and quiet. So I'm not really trying to hear all this BS that people are talking about. All right. Everything's empty. It's like that over here as well. Empty hospitals. You know, they're trying to scare people. Where I'm at, there's a tent outside with nobody and nothing in it. It's a big white tent. Like, they're trying to use that to test people for the virus, But the way they got it is like kind of intimidating because you could see it from the road, like the main road everybody drives on. It's this big white tent. So if you don't know what's going on, you might think that people are in there dead and, you know, they got the virus, they didn't pass out. But once you actually look in there, there is nothing at all in there but some asphalt, the parking lot, some lines where you park, maybe a speed bump or something else, but it ain't nothing in there at all. There's no equipment, no nothing. So this whole thing is just kind of getting on my nerves 100%. Sushi says 32,000 people died from the flu last year. Where was the shutdown? That's what I want to know. Where was the shutdown at for all people that died of the flu last year? In 2017, 2018 winter season, you had 80,000 people that died of the flu in the U.S. alone. No shutdown, no social distancing, no increased hand washing, no mask recommendation, nothing. None of that happened. But for this, we gotta just destroy the whole economy. I'm really over it. If we're not back by Easter, then it's going to be a serious problem. It's already an issue right now. Somebody on my Twitter page said that a helicopter flew over their neighborhood and announced that there have been 2 break-ins and be vigilant. In California, they said this. Be vigilant in California. Can you imagine that? Like, be vigilant in California, really, where you say I can't have a gun for the most part, but we'll move on. Imagine trying to get a gun in California to protect yourself while you were an anti-gunner and you realize that you got to pass a background check, number 1, and number 2, you got to wait 10 days before you get it. You want that jank right now. You want the ammo, you want your license, you want all of that right now, but you can't get it. People don't really understand how things affect them until it affects them. They think they understand from reading books, listening to authors, listening to the experts. But once they really get in the mix and get dirty, then things get a little bit different. That's kind of how it goes. Thank you. All right, but you guys know the drill. The number to call is 434-658-1220. I'm going to turn my Skype on right quick. If it wants to do what it wants to do, then I can't do nothing about that. Let me see. Hold on. Curls It Is said something. I'm going to go back to it right quick. Curls It Is. Hold on. I saw what you wrote. I just want to make sure I got it. Well, Curls It Is said that it was like 26,000 that died in 2019, 2018. I missed it. I can't, because it's kind of going fast. And it's different from over there than over there. But anyway, let's get to the calls. Let's fire up Skype right quick. One thing that is being talked about, I think she might have been alluding to this, is that some of the deaths from a virus may not be from the virus. Some of the deaths could be from something different that people are saying is a virus. Like, prime example, people said that a baby died from coronavirus somewhere up like New York or Connecticut or something. But what actually happened was the baby was accidentally suffocated by a caretaker and they had the virus in their system, but they did not die from the virus. They died from asphyxiation or suffocation. They did not die from the virus. But because the person or the baby had the virus in their system, then they want to say, oh, they died from the virus. And they didn't die from the virus. They died because they were choked to death, basically, on accident. It wasn't like they were strangled. It was accidental smothering. If you can't do that accidentally, but I'll move on. All right, let's get to the first call. Nippin, what's going on?
Not much. How are you doing?
Everything's good, man. Can't complain.
Yeah, the Atlantic report here. One of our senior cabinet officials has said about 2 months till we can relax the measures.
What, 2 months from today?
Yeah, in the UK.
Okay. Now I got background noise over here, Nippin.
Oh, sorry. It's the what do you call it? It was the Discord. I forgot to mute them.
All right.
Yeah, you might want to mute me during that time. Sorry.
All right, let's get it together. Are you good?
Okay, I'm out.
All right.
Yeah. I'm out of the Discord call. Yeah. So yeah, Yeah, 2 months apparently, according to the government. Mr. Michael Gove.
Now, is it going to be able to last 2 months? Do you think that people will allow themselves to go that long with, being under this quarantine thing?
No, I think people will. I think people will. What's the word for it? They'll lose it at about a month or so. They will. I think they'll max out.
Yeah, I think that they already have lost it in some places.
Relaxed.
All right, what are we doing? We live on the air, Nippin. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I was trying to find you the article. 2 months until the measures are
Oh,
relaxed.
it's all good. You don't got to do that. It's fine.
So yeah, and instead it was showing me something about pregnancy.
I got you.
So yeah, 2 months till they relax the measures.
Now, is that throughout the entire country or just in London? Like, where is that?
The entire country. I mean, we're meant to peak in a few weeks. Well, whatever that means, because things just go up and down, up and down. It's as crazy over here as it is in the US.
Now, how are the hospitals? Are they like overrun with people? People everywhere? Do they have tents out? Like, how are the hospitals?
Oh, they're getting overfilled like this. People are not getting, like, you have to book in advance for you to get, and sometimes you wouldn't even get it. That's how bad it is.
Okay.
So yeah, now this whole 5G thing has gone all crazy.
Yeah, what's your viewpoint on that?
Now, liberals will find anything to turn into, make themselves relevant.
Yeah, this whole 5G thing, I think it's kind of a nothing burger, really. It ain't really. If 5G is a problem, then so is 4G, 3G, just regular TV waves, radio waves, everything. If it just, to me, it doesn't make any sense.
Coronavirus.
Yeah,
Not
like,
connected to the coronavirus.
no, it's a virus. Like, to say that 5G is connected to this whole thing is like saying that the regular flu and everything else has been around for a long time. I mean, like the Spanish flu back in the early 1900s. I mean, what was that about? Was 5G around back then? Did it cause it back then? I mean, what are we doing?
No, they used telegrams back then.
Right. So I think people are just, I don't know, just, trying to find explanations that may not be correct.
So yeah, London has gone from people visiting into a complete zombie apocalypse setting you'd see on Call of Duty. That's literally what's happened.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's pretty much what it is like throughout the States too. And it's crazy. They got all kind of barriers and blocks and police and random places where they wouldn't normally be. It's like you in a like you in Mad Max or some kind of crazy video game where it's like the world is ended.
Yeah. You know, what I might do is that when the virus does go away and the lockdown does finish, I'm just going to go out into my backyard and shout, "Freedom!"
Pretty much.
So yeah, it's really mad out here. Oh, and something non-related to the whole China virus thing. Oh, the new Labour Party leader has been elected. Jeremy Corbyn resigned. Now, this leader is a bit more modern. Like, I like him. I actually like him, but I'm still not going to vote for him, if you know what I mean.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, he was one of the Labour MPs that actually voted for Brexit.
Right.
That's put him in my good books. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to vote for it's still a left-leaning party, so I'm going to say no. He's not getting my vote. Maybe if he was on the Conservative Party, then yeah, he probably would.
Right. I'm with you.
So yeah, and now Pelosi, she's the real virus here.
So she's going to investigate
Now
Trump
she's
again.
launching.
Yeah.
Why?
Because
He is innocent.
Russia
Innocent with an I.
Russia didn't work. The whole thing with Stormy Daniels didn't work. Ukraine didn't work. Impeachment didn't work. So now, okay, the virus, you didn't do it right. Although you didn't do it right, although he was one of the first guys to be on it to restrict Chinese travel, to label it what it's supposed to be. Acting in January. Meanwhile, people like Bill de Blasio were talking to New Yorkers, talking about, hey, go do whatever you want, live life like normal, don't be racist towards the Chinese. Now he's like totally reversing this course. So yeah, it's just it's another way.
That's what liberals. That's what they do. That's what they do. They backtrack so much.
Yeah.
And then there's the mayor in Fiorentina, Florence in Italy. He was like, to show that you're not racist, hug a Chinese person.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
What? I'm not hugging someone who has the virus, okay?
Yeah,
no.
I'm not.
I don't care if you call me racist.
Yeah,
I'd rather be. I mean, look, if I'm called racist for protecting my own health, I don't care.
Right, I'm with you. I'm with you on that 100%. Hey, I got a lot of calls on the line. I'm gonna get to a few more here.
It was nice catching up with you, ABL.
Likewise, man. Thank you for the call.
I shall speak to you on Thursday.
That's right. Thursday your time, Wednesday my time. I got you, boss.
Yep. I shall speak to you then.
All right, then, man. Peace.
Peace.
All righty, the lines are jumping. I'm trying to get to everybody as soon as I can. The number to call is 434-658-1220. And I wanted to show something here. I think I kind of bypassed it. Hold on. Oh, yeah. This is what I wanted to show you. Now, since they say that we should wear masks now you got governors wearing these like little fruity masks. Okay, now this is not Photoshop. This is a real picture. This is Colorado's governor, Jared Polis. And I'm not sure what's going on here. Are these mountains? Like, I guess you're in Colorado. It's like the Rocky Mountains. I guess that's what that is. Is this handmade by his wife or something? I don't know what's going on, but he does have on the mask. Look, I'm not wearing no mask. I don't care. It ain't gonna do nothing no way, really, for real. Because if you got your hands uncovered, and you go to eat some chicken noodle soup or some chicken parmesan, and you put your fingers on the fork, put it in your mouth or whatever, you got it anyway. So what's the whole point? And that's his mask. And then you have this is LA Mayor Eric Garcetti. Now, are these a pair of panties, sir? What's going on with your are these underwears you have on your face? That might not be appropriate for Saturday night television or wherever you're doing. So I'm not really a fan of those. But yeah, I'm not wearing the mask. If you want to wear a mask, that's fine for your safety or just feel more comfortable. But no, I'm straight. I don't care if Trump come on TV with a mask. I'm not wearing it. And I don't think he will because he already said they recommend you wear a mask, but I'm not going to wear it. He said it on TV. I'm not wearing the mask. You can if you want to. That's fine, but I'm not going to do it. All right. So let's get to some more calls here. The number to call is 434-658-1220. Again, 434-658-1220. 540, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
My name is Michael Probston. How you doing, ABL?
Everything's good, man. Can't complain.
That's good. Life's been quite different here ever since this coronavirus thing has come. I guess we don't live too far apart from one another. I live in Ladysmith, Virginia.
Okay.
And things have been pretty quiet here ever since this virus thing. And I've noticed a lot of people in the neighborhood for probably the past 3 weeks. I guess the kids have been in their house playing video game systems, and now all of a sudden they're out with their parents on their bikes, and it seems like families have become more closer to one another since this whole thing. I don't know. That's it. To me, from my eyes, it's a good thing, but of course the virus isn't a good thing, and so it seems like this big negative thing has transpired. It's actually made us closer to our families.
Yeah, I mean, that is one part of it because I do see that. Like when I'm just out here where I live, you seeing families kind of like taking walks, people trying to, they're going fishing in some of these lakes. So yeah, I do see that part of it. Now, will that be able to last? If it does last, then that's a good thing once we get up out of this. But I think the ultimate goal should be to move on from this. But hopefully we gain some positive habits from this, and it's not so much of the fear and stuff we have right now.
Yes. But I there was one thing, if I can, real quick. I'm not a graphic person here or anything, but what I want to ask you is, with people or parents that get bored in their houses, they tend to reproduce new kids because they're bored in their houses. My question to you is, will that I'm trying to think of the word, would that rapidly produce more kids in 2021? And would that be a good thing or a bad thing? Because they're bored, basically. I'm not trying to be stupid about this. I'm serious, because they're quarantined in their house, and could that be a big issue?
Well, I mean, that could be a good thing because you have low birth rates among Americans, really. White Americans, black Americans, the birth rate is actually below replacement. So if you have more kids, that's not necessarily a bad thing. The only bad thing about that could be when parents can't take care of those kids. That's a bad thing. But a child being born, it's always a good thing when a child is born, especially since you have a low birth rate in the U.S., lower than replacement.
Okay, I gotcha. Man, I'm a big ABL fan, and I know you have other callers online. Just want to shout out to you, and I'll continue to support you.
Well, thank you for the call, man, and your support. I definitely appreciate you.
All right, man. Take care of yourself.
All right, now, take care. Yeah, shout out to the caller. Yeah, you have a shortage of kids, really, among blacks and whites. Now, we're talking about illegal aliens. They popping out kids like popcorn. They got a baby factory. You might as well just put them in the microwave and just, they're like Pop-Tarts and Hot Pockets. You got them just on an assembly line, basically. I think the replacement rate among white Americans is like 1.6, 1.7. Among blacks, it's like 1.8, 1.9, and you need 2.1 replacement to have a sustainable population. And I think among Hispanics, it's much higher. Illegal Hispanics through the roof. Like you're talking about, they might have multiple kids next year per each family. But I'll move on. You need 2.1 replacement. Magnificent, what's going on?
What's up, man?
Everything's good, man. See you. Man, likewise, man.
Yeah, man. You know what they say, never let a good tragedy go to waste, right?
That's right.
It's crazy, man. It's like I've looked at the stimulus bill and everything that they passed, and I'm hearing now that people aren't going to get their checks until maybe August or September, and I'm wondering, like, what good is that going to do? This, to me, is like the best case for why we should never, ever, ever depend on the government for anything, because they're so incompetent.
You got to pause right there. Okay, now I got to just clarify it. What you're saying is right, but there's more. Now, some people are going to get direct deposit. If you had your tax return given to you by direct deposit, and you already had everything set up, you get your money on April 15th. If you had direct deposit. If you do not have direct deposit, they'll start writing out checks on May 2nd, and they'll do 5 million checks per week. Now, if you happen to be an unlucky person and you're in the last group of 5 million to get your check written, you won't get yours until August. So you could get it as early as April the 15th, you get a direct deposit. But if you get a check and you do not have any kind of direct deposit, you might not get yours until way late, like May or maybe late as August.
Okay, gotcha. It's still though, man.
Yeah,
like,
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was saying, is like, there's no way that I could just depend on, like, you know how they're trying to leverage this to kind of push universal basic income. Like, well, basically, capitalism sucks anyway, so we might as well just create this whole new economy out of it. It's just funny to watch them exploit this in broad daylight for everybody to see. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then, like you said, it exploits the incompetence because it's like, okay, so you mean to tell me I'm gonna get a check from the government every month? Meanwhile, the check right here might not come for months. Like I gotta wait a long time, but I'm gonna get it every month on time. Okay, we'll see about that.
Yeah, it's insanity, and they don't understand how it won't work. I have a lot of friends that are on the left, and they're big fans of Bernie and Andrew Yang and all this stuff. I'm like, you see how incompetent the government is right now. Like they're trying to impeach the president and investigate him during the middle of a pandemic. What makes you think they're going to ever put your priorities first? Just nonsense, man. But also, I don't know if you heard about Bill Gates and his plan to vaccinate people. Like, it's not really a plan, but he's talking about like we're going to need to vaccinate the world and vaccine certificates. And I'm just wondering why anybody's even giving him a platform. I don't know if you saw the clip of him and Trevor Noah talking about it, but it was crazy.
No, I didn't see that. But I've seen him talk about that before. I've seen him go to Africa and places like that, giving out vaccinations and whatnot. It's kind of a double-edged sword with me because on one hand, he's the kind of guy, he'll say different things and do different things that don't really match. Like he'll talk about how we have a population issue, too many people. Then at the same time, he'll go out and give vaccinations. So are the vaccinations to prolong life or to end life? If they're to prolong life, then it kind of goes against this whole thing about population. Because if you want to reduce population, no vaccinations, because they just die off and then it'd be kind of a natural thing. So it's kind of weird hearing him talk to really see an agenda, if there is one. So I'm not really sure, but I got to see that we're talking about with Trevor Noah as far as any kind of vaccination. Now, if you're talking about trying to require it, then we got a serious issue with that because number one, Bill Gates, who are you? Are you some kind of world god? Are you the king of the world or something like that? All you are is a philanthropist, a guy that could help, but any kind of requirement from a government, no. Now you're violating my civil liberties. I'm not taking any kind of vaccine for this particular situation at all.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, no doubt. I mean, with the way that it just seems a little bit too convenient that you can be a carrier of coronavirus and show no symptoms. That just seems like they can always keep it omnipresent, kind of like how they say racism is everywhere, even though you can't see it. It's always there. You always got to be on the lookout for it.
That's right.
Right? And so like the omnipresence of it just means that, okay, well, we have to have a vaccine because how are we going to know that you can go into a public place and not spread it? I just feel like they're using this and they're going to continue using it throughout the year. I know that human behavior says otherwise. Like people, especially once it starts warming up, people are going to get cabin fever. They're ready to get outside. So it almost seems like we're at a fork in the road, essentially, right? They're going to either force people to stay in their homes, which that's going to get real dicey, or just going to have to let people get out, and then we'll have to build herd immunity or tailor it to where, okay, if you're 65 and up, or if you have pre-existing conditions, you probably need this, that, and the third. But it just seems like we're going to go one way or the other, and it's obvious that there are people out there who prefer that we keep this going and try to, finesse it into something else.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then also, Trump said that we should get ready for a painful 2 weeks ahead. Do you think he means like we're going to see an exorbitant amount, like it's going to exponentially grow? I really don't know what to make out of that because I'm with you. I don't think this is as big of a deal as they're making it out to be. But the fact that Trump is saying like, this is crazy, we're pushing the deadline from Easter to now the 30th of April. And then he's saying, get ready for a painful 2 weeks ahead. I'm not really sure what to make of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's just trying to brace for the worst case scenario. If the deaths rise, if we've not reached a peak yet, we could get there. And also, businesses are closed down still. You still, don't have commerce going. You still don't have the economy going. So it's going to be painful in that way as well. So it could be from the deaths and also from lack of business because people are out here. It's already getting pretty serious with people in a desperation. and no jobs. And then if you do have a job, your income is affected by those that don't have jobs around you. Like, let's say you're open for business, but yet your customers have no money because they don't have a job. So it's going to be painful in multiple ways, in my humble opinion. But I hope after these 2 weeks, we can get back to normal. If not from the federal government and their quote unquote recommendations, definitely on a local government level to where we can just start to do things again, because we can't keep doing this but for so much longer. Really, we're already past the point of it doing damage, but every day it goes on, the damage is just increasing by an amount I can't even really imagine.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't even know if this is seasonal or not. I'm thinking that it's probably seasonal, or that the weather does affect it, because if you look at a state like Texas, it's not growing nearly as much as it is in Florida. I think the outliers are Florida and Louisiana as far as like warm weather states.
Yeah.
Because of the tourism. Like, I know New Orleans had Mardi Gras, Florida we had the Super Bowl, and we had Daytona 500 and all these things, and plus Disney, a lot of tourism down here. But other than that, I would think that Florida is already kind of peaked, and it's just going to start, or whatever they call it, flatlined or whatever.
Yeah.
And California doesn't have a lot of cases. I don't know about Arizona and New Mexico, but I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic. The more that I track the numbers, it's mostly in the northern states. Like, I don't know what's going on with Michigan. That's crazy. Michigan has half the population of Florida, and they got like 3,000 or 4,000 more cases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well,
it's crazy.
The thing is, they're trying to say about Michigan, they're trying to say people like AOC talking about the minorities need reparations for this because it's affecting Detroit and Chicago, places like that. So they're trying to say it's a race thing. Like, somehow black folks, we get it more because we're more susceptible to not having any kind of health insurance and stuff like that. So that's going to be an angle you'll see a lot coming up here soon.
Yeah, of course they're doing that. One more question for you, though. So with all these deaths that are building, I know Florida, I think we're like getting close to 200 deaths. We might be over that now. Do you think that this affects the election in any way, as far as, states like Florida where Trump won in like a slim margin? Do you think that will affect the outcome of the election at all, or not really? Because, obviously older voters are more likely to vote for Trump. That's what I mean.
No, I don't think so, because look who he's running against. I mean, you got Joe Biden there. Joe Biden don't know what's going on. He don't know what day is what day. He's worse. He's in worse shape than Hillary Clinton was, and she was not able to succeed. And he is not as qualified as she was, and she was not able to succeed. And then plus he's been out in front leading the nation. People are turning more towards him in this particular time of crisis for leadership. So I think he'll have that on his belt. If anything, it'll help him more. Biden has no chance at all. So it's not going to affect that any kind of way negatively against Trump. If anything, it'd be positive. But what it could affect are some of these primaries. Virginia says they're going to have their restrictions until June 10th, but the primary is on June 9th. So you see what they're doing there? One day after the primary, you're going to have the restrictions be lifted. So it ain't nothing funny going on there. You're not trying to fiddle with the election. So things like that could be affected, but ultimately it won't make a difference because Trump will win it still again in November.
Yeah, no doubt. And he definitely will if I have anything to say about it. I don't know if you know that I got hired with Right Side Broadcasting right before this whole thing hit.
Oh, wow, man. Congrats on that.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm going to be a correspondent. So I'll be going to all the rallies, traveling around.
Excellent.
I met the owner back in the beginning of March. And now that we're in this lockdown, we don't know when Trump's going to be able to hold another rally. So I'm getting excited, ready to get out there.
Definitely, man. Absolutely.
Yes, sir, man. Well, I'll let you get to some other callers, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming, man. And tell everybody how to get in contact with you.
Oh, yeah. Find me on YouTube, Mike Nificent. Just type it in. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram if you just type in Mike Nificent 813. And if you want to email me directly, it's mikenificent813@gmail.com.
All right, man. Appreciate you for coming.
Yes, sir. Catch you later.
All right, peace. All right, my man Magnificent coming through. Shout out to him for getting hired with Right Side Broadcasting. All right, I'm going to put his link right here in the chat box. If you guys have not subscribed to him yet, go ahead and do that right now. All right, his link is right there in the chat box for you guys. And you guys know the drill. The number to call is 434-658-1220. Again, 434-658-1220. If you want to get on through Skype and be right here in the bottom left-hand corner, there's the email for that in the description box below. Add me on that, and we'll get you rocking and rolling as soon as we can. Let's get to the next call. Let's go 702. You on the line? Who am I speaking to?
Hello, Mr. Logan. It's the Red Pill Barista from San Francisco. You tonight?
All righty. How's everything?
Oh, it's fine. I got to speak a little lower than usual because the walls have ears now in this new America. I was near Pine Street with a friend this morning. I want to tell you a story. And there was a cop that was nearby, and we were just talking, and the streets are deserted. And I told him, I said, boy, this Chinese virus has gotten everybody off the street, right? The cop comes over and he says, hey, pal, I want you to know that kind of talk can get you a fine or jail time. In the United States of America. Could you believe it?
Wait a minute. You said Chinese virus, and then the officer came up to you and said that kind of talk can get you a fine or jail time?
Yes, that's what he said. He said you have to watch what you say because talk like that can get you a fine or jail time now.
Wow. Unreal.
So I said, are you kidding me? It is unbelievable. What I'm starting to worry about now is after the virus, what's going to happen. Did you hear the LA mayor, the mayor of LA, who said snitches get rewards? Did you hear that story?
No, I didn't hear what he said exactly.
What he said is you can Google this, Mr. Logan, or any of your audience. What he said was that neighbors should report other neighbors who are breaking the quarantine. And if they do, they're eligible for cash rewards.
Wow.
You can Google that one. That one is verifiable. The mayor of Los Angeles said that the other day. This is America that we're living in? I don't think so. I'll tell you. I also heard, did you hear that one of the Democratic congressmen introduced a bill in the House to give illegal aliens the stimulus bill? Did you hear that one?
Yeah, I did hear about that. Yes.
You can Google this one, too. Everything I'm saying today is verifiable, Mr. Logan. Everything I'm saying. You can Google this one, too. There's a congressman named Wu Korea, who, by the way, if your fans are interested, Wu Korea is also a disease of the vaginal tunnel in a woman. The same name. So it's pretty apropos that dude has the same name as a vaginal disease. But I digress. What I'm going to say is that he introduces a bill about the stimulus, saying that millions of workers are not getting the stimulus bill, meaning the illegal aliens. Let me tell you something, Mr. Logan. They are not citizens. How much money are they willing to suck out of the taxpayer? We're going to have to pay this money back after this virus passes. We're already $2 trillion in debt. How much more do we have to pay? Is he kidding? That guy is a complete jerk. And this is happening in America right now as we speak. Andrew Cuomo, did you see the story today that China is giving ventilators to New York City?
I saw that, yes.
They stop the virus. They send it around the world, and then they help us. Gee whiz. It's like somebody comes and knocks on my door, come in, shoots me, and then says, hey, buddy, let me call an ambulance. Is he kidding? Are they kidding? They're the good guys, and Cuomo says, I want to praise the Chinese government. What kind of memory do we have? I've seen your videos on China. I've seen other people's videos on China. Gee whiz, it was only 3 months ago that they lied about their numbers. Now all of a sudden they're heroes? Probably the ventilators are faulty anyway. If it's like their cars and their motorcycles, it'll probably break down in a week. I'll tell you, this country is heading south. I can't stand it. Right now in San Francisco, did you see that we're using plastic bags again?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the plastic bags are back, and they've also gotten rid of the paper bags. Is that what happened?
Yes, they did. They said, well, now you can't use canvas bags because they say canvas bags promote the virus. That's what they're saying. If you bring a canvas bag in a store, they're going to tell you to leave the store with it. Gee, holly golly, 6 months ago, Breed was jumping down everybody's throat. Her and that little communist psychopath, whatever her name is, that little girl that did for climate change. And why do we listen to an 18-year-old, 17-year-old girl anyway as a scientific expert? Gee whiz, what's next? LeBron James is going to pontificate about Christ the second coming on earth? This is ridiculous. People shouldn't be listening, but now they took out plastic bags in San Francisco. You can't even get near them. What's going to be a year later? They're going to bring back the plastic bags again when a sea lion brings one up in his mouth? I'll tell you, this is ridiculous. I don't know what to do now. I had a neighbor that told me, hey, you know something? You can't go out because of the quarantine. It was like a woman is like 85 years old. She looked like King Tut's tomb. I told her, I said, lady, look, I'm under 1,000 years old. I can breathe some fresh air. She says, you know something? The government's discouraging that. Already they're starting to switch. What, you won't be able to walk out of your house soon? Did you also hear now that Donald Trump said he wants the business of America up and running by the end of the summer? Did you hear the press conference today?
End of the summer? Is that what he said?
Yes, check that also. He says, I want all businesses up and running by the end of the summer, hopefully.
Wow.
That's verifiable as well. I'll tell you, it's not Trump's fault, but all these people who are saying, well, by April 30th, it'll all be over. Are you insane? You really think by April 30th, everything will be opening up again? It won't. Now, I'm not saying it shouldn't or should. That's besides the point. But people deal in reality. It ain't opening up. I had Starbucks today tell me, I went in there, I was going to get my last check in there. You know that they S-canned me, didn't you, Mr. Logan?
Yes.
Well, I went in there to get something, my last paycheck, and they told me, they said, you know something? Starbucks is doing a great service for people by handing it through the window. We're heroes here. I said, heroes? You make lousy, stinking coffee, and it's $5 a pop. I know people who spend $25 a week, $100 a month just on one cup of coffee a day. Those are the same people that are crying and complaining that they can't afford to feed their kids. Did you ever see, by the way, Mr. Logan, the mothers and fathers, and I'm not making fun, but did you ever see the mothers and fathers who complain that they can't afford mac and cheese for their kids? Did you ever hear that?
No.
Well, let me tell you something. Did you ever see their nails? It looks like Wolverine from the X-Men. It looks like they just got shot with their talons 5 minutes ago. They're talking on a Samsung Galaxy, or they're talking on an iPhone. They're driving in an SUV up and down, and then they're saying, you got to feed my kid. I can't afford an apple. Give me a damn break. If you would stop doing your nails, which, by the way, look as ugly as sin, women, I've got something to tell you out there. Stop making extensions 25 inches long on the nails. It not only scares a guy, but that's good for social distancing because no guy's going to go within 6 miles of you. It's disgusting. And then they're crying in San Francisco in the streets, please, could you give me $5 to feed my kid? I said, I would, but there's nothing open. What are you going to spend it on, your nails? I'll tell you something. The world's coming to an end. The last thing I want to say, Mr. Logan, is that I want to give a shout-out to my friend, my cat, rather, Snickers. It's her 17th birthday today. I'll tell you, I'm appreciating animals more and more because people are just losing it. And by the way, I want to say one last thing before I go. To the Beanie Boy who's on YouTube, who's saying that civilization is collapsing any minute, look, we get it, fella. We'll buy you MREs. Just stop it, will you? He's making it like Godzilla's trampling through Manhattan. And you know who Beanie Boy is, Skateboard Man. Good night, Mr. Logan. Stay safe. And in 6 months from now, when the first restaurants open up again, I'll treat you to a Corona, which, by the way, stopped production. Every Mexican in America is probably hanging their head in shame right now. Do you realize they're probably committing suicide by the dozens? Corona is gone. What's the substitute now? Pappy beer? I don't know. Good night, Mr. Logan. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you for the call. All righty. Shout out to my man, Red Paparista over there in San Francisco. Obviously from New York, but an excellent caller. Hey, you guys, the comments I'm reading are hilarious. 1,000% hilarious. Yeah, he was going off. He was definitely going off. Shout out to my man, Misanthropic One, for the super chat who says, Holla, brother. I enjoyed your appearance on the Jubilee panel along with Kevin. Both of you killed it. Love you as usual. Hey, man, thank you for that, man. Definitely appreciate that. That was a fun time. And, you know, for that whole thing, it was like, what, 20 minutes, 25 minutes on YouTube? We were there for 3 hours. It was wild. And it was cold. It was, I got a whole story about that. But it was fun. A lot of fun. It was a lot that was not in there that I think if people were to hear, you would see things a little bit differently. But I think they pretty much captured all of what was needed for what they were trying to do. And it was they did very good with the editing and the production. Very professional staff. I really enjoyed it. So shout out to people over at Jubilee, and shout out to everybody that was there with me having a discussion about black liberal versus black conservatives. Shout out to Mandatory Carey, who says, Iran created coronavirus to frame China. Fight me. Hey, you never know. That could happen because they had a little outbreak there too. But thank you for that. Definitely appreciate you. Shout out to my man Killer Sushi, who says conspiracy time. The COVID testing was just to collect DNA samples to build a federal database. Just kidding. I just wanted to get people fired up. Thank you for that, man. Definitely appreciate it. Let me get to the calls. The number to call is 434-658-1220. Again, 434-658-1220. Let me get to the next call. 206 on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Oh, hurry. I got through. Is this ABL in FEMA Region 4?
Yes, it is. What's going on?
What's going on, man? It's Dougie and just chow-chiliating in FEMA Region 10. And let me see your titles here. Pelosi's got the banana in the tailpipe, OAN. Remember I told you there was a contract on that? You know, the White House press group was created to keep the president from having media that he didn't, that liked him. Mm-hmm. And now the deep state's using it for the opposite reason. So crazy stuff going on, man. Amber Heard needs to go to jail for elderly abuse, man. I just, hey, man, I'm not going to even get into that, but those overtly passionate Hollywood starlet types, that thing she left in the bed for him, that was from Anthony Fox, his business owner. But, I hear he's helping kids, and Dustin McGeehan, his dead homie would appreciate that. And that's one reason why I called in. I was going to call in last week, but then Red Pill Barista said something that I got to call him on it, man, about the Chinese, okay? So I grew up in San Francisco, man, and I don't think you're supposed to use the term FOB, probably not politically correct, but two different types of Chinese. People in San Francisco can't even speak to Xi Jinping. They speak Cantonese. That's why they used to call themselves Orientals, even up till the time I was a kid. They're from Hong Kong. They're different. They want to be American. They want what we have. And they don't even speak it. Matter of fact, their grandma might speak Cantonese. They've been in the country generations like 8, 9, 10. So when we had, some big throwdowns, there'd be like 35, Chinese guys who couldn't speak English, Asian mafia. They beat up this one guy. So all of a sudden, the entire school came out. Brothers, Latinos, white guys, American-born Chinese, don't speak any Chinese. They're just like that sweet little couple from MXR Plays. You know what I mean? Nobody wants them to go back home, man. You know what I mean? Like they're Americans, just like you or me. Right. I'm an individualist, and so you know what I mean. Like I fought on the side of them, and so I just tell people when they're trying to race bait about that, call out one whole group. I just say, man, when I pour out some beer, it's coffee now. But for my dead homies, I see faces of all colors, man. You know what I mean? Shut that down. And then, if that don't work, you just treat them like Trump does, or Putin. You remember what Putin called General Milley? You see that one? Oh, Milley said he made that speech where if you come against America, I'll beat you harder than you've ever been beaten before. Have you seen that?
No, I didn't see that.
It's a pretty good speech. He was just the Army captain back then, but Trump liked it so much he made him the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Well, they showed Putin the video, and he just started laughing, right? And he goes, I like this guy. He reminds me of Fred Flintstone. And so I always picture Milley on a saber tooth with Putin riding side saddle on a tiger, like usual. But yeah, I just wanted to say that about the Chinese thing. That kind of caught me off guard. But yeah, man, it's still going. Can I put you on the spot, man? Ask you. Oh wait, before I start, did you see the Gateway Pundit Soros owns a major share in that Wuhan biolab.
I did not see that, but I don't doubt it. It makes sense.
Yeah. I remember I told you it would be bad if he could point the finger this direction. We're seeing that for sure. But I can test your gender and your blackness and your political. Some questions.
Okay.
All right. So if Sir Mix-a-Lot used to rap about me, so did you picture a white boy rolling in a hoopty on Broadway with some heads, or did you picture a white boy tweaking on a giant peach?
Rondell Broadway.
Okay, so Miss Piggy or Kermit?
Miss Piggy or Kermit? What you mean?
Just which one first instinct?
Kermit.
Don't matter. Okay. That song, Mr. Wendell by Arrested Development? You know that song?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you rather talk to him or Sheila Jackson Lee?
Oh, my man from Arrested Development all day long.
Okay, yeah. The homeless guy in the song, right? Okay. Who's funnier, Tyrone Biggins or Orange Man's right hand, Nilla, Mike Pence?
Pence. Let's give it to Pence.
Be honest, man. Just be honest.
I've never really heard Tyrone Biggins. I don't even know who that is really.
Oh, that's Dave Chappelle's character.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, who's funnier? Tyrone Biggins.
Right? Tyrone. Let's go Tyrone.
Okay. Yeah, you gotta be honest. Okay, who you feel safer around? Anton Jackson, that's Damon Wayans' character with the pickle jar, or HRC?
Yeah, Anton. Yeah, Anton, because I ain't trying to get suicided.
Around here, right?
Huh?
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
Yeah.
So Wall Street or Main Street?
Wow, that's a good one. Main Street.
Thank you. Debt or no debt?
No debt.
Not what you're in, but what's better.
No debt. No debt's better.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. So Dabu 7 or Jimmy Dore?
Dabu 7.
All right. Jericho Green or Greg Gutfeld?
Jericho.
Of course, right? Of course. Americans. Okay. So good news or the bad news first?
We get the bad news.
All right, man. You're a true capitalist, not a corporatist. You're a classic liberal, just like most Republicans, and you're a fiscal conservative. And unfortunately, we aren't represented in this government, sir.
Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, right? And by the way, yeah, okay. So and then good news is, hey, man, you're a straight black male. Both noun and verb, both biological and mental. Red pilled. I'm not a racist, man. I'm proud of you, man.
I appreciate that, man. I'm glad to hear it.
Hey, man, you know what I said? I was like, let me test myself, right? So I thought, okay, in my head, I'm black. And I waited. And I heard a voice, and I just blurted it out. You know what I said? Cracker, please. Sorry, man. I thought it was funny. Do you want me to drop the 5G red pill on you?
You know what?
Really
I got calls on the line I got to get to, so you can say that one for another time. Thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate you.
Just tell people to keep their kids away from it, at least, okay?
I got you. All right. Thank you for the call.
All right, man. Hey, always good talking to you, ABL. Peace.
All right, peace. All right, shout out to the caller. That way I didn't know where it was going. I was like, okay, where are we headed here today? Let's get to okay, I have a caller that's trying to call in again. It's only one call per night. I don't want to put anybody out there, but one call per night, please, because I got people trying to get on. I don't want nobody to call in again and then take somebody else's spot. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, call you on the line. 47, who am I speaking to?
Oh, hey, I called, I don't know, it was like 6 months ago, and we were talking about, you didn't think that Jim Crow had any negative effects on certain populations in this country. And wait, hold on, let's slow down.
Yeah? Is that what I said?
Okay. I don't know. It was a while ago. It was something.
Okay, because we got to just make sure that you said what I said. I think, but I probably, if you ask me the question, does it have an effect now? Then I would say no. We got to move past it. If it was a negative effect back then yeah, but not now. But so, what were you going to ask?
Don't you? Yeah. So don't you think that negative effects back then would make it harder for certain people to create generational wealth, and then
how so?
Kind of still be if 3 generations ago, certain groups of people weren't able to get good educations or get good jobs, then three generations later, they won't have the generational wealth.
I mean,
but going too fast?
Wait. Let's slow down. Let's just take it one at a time. So, who was not able to get a good education or get a good job? Like, and what time period are you referring to?
Well, I mean, I think the Jim Crow era started in like the recently after the Civil War, even though that Reconstruction was actually pretty good for blacks in the South. But then after Reconstruction ended, which would be, I don't know, like 1880, 1890, somewhere around there maybe. I don't know the exact dates, but after Reconstruction ended, that's when like Jim Crow came in full effect in the South.
So from when to when? From what year to what year is what I'm asking.
I don't know the exact dates.
Well, you got to get some parameters, because when you say that people caller, listen to me, listen.
Sure, buddy.
When I talk, you just got to pause. Now I just talk again.
Sure, buddy.
So you got to get some parameters so I know what you're talking about. Because when you say, people couldn't get good jobs back then, when is then? What are we referring to? We talking about 1870? Caller, listen to me. Listen. Like caller. Wait, caller. I'm gonna put you on mute. When I talk, you can't talk, because what happens is you at the same time talking, they can't hear me or you. So we gotta just take turns. When I'm talking, you don't talk. When I'm done, you talk. You cool?
Okay. Sure.
All right. Okay, cool. So what I was saying is, let's get parameters so we can, at that point, move forward. So let's say 1870 to 1940. Is that a good term to use?
Let's say let's just make it easy. 1900 to 1960. How about that?
Okay. Now, all right. Now let's talk about good education. How were black folks not able to get a good education at that particular point in time?
So when we talked about primary education, or like, let's say public schooling, the resources that were put into certain areas because of, let's say, things like redlining, which prevented certain people from living in certain areas, kind of corralled all the people that certain other people, like let's say, white people, didn't want living in the nicer areas because they thought they brought down the property value. So they all kind of like corralled them in like certain areas. And we do see this geographically. Like we have cities on the outskirts of really nice cities that are predominantly black because, well, historically, that's what happened. That's where they're all pushed to, right?
Okay, so what is redlining?
Redlining is kind of not allowing someone or kind of pushing someone away from buying a certain property because of their race. Is the working definition.
No, redlining was a policy by the banks to not lend to certain neighborhoods. It was not a matter of you can't live here. It's a matter of not lending. So that's not necessarily about your house or where you live at. It's about lending cash for whatever the reason, and that's usually based upon your credit line. That could be talking about housing, because if you want to get a home loan and you can't, that could be talking about housing, but it's not necessarily relegated to that. And just because there was a policy on the books of certain banks, not a law, it was never a law, it was a policy on the banks, on the books at the banks. Just because that existed does not mean that we could not live in other places or have a bank that did not follow that policy. Because like I said, it was not a law. It was some banks' policy. Back prior to 1960, there were plenty of black banks that existed, and there are still some black banks today. There were still plenty of black, you got HBCUs still going on today. They were around back then. They were around even during slavery, black colleges. You also have a lot of black elementary, middle, and high, where you're able to get a very good education, get good skills, and you're able to make a lot of money. So this whole thing about just because you may not be among white people does not mean that we were not able to get educated very well or to gain good skills. Does that make any sense?
Sure. Yeah, so I guess I would say that just because you were able to 50, 100 years ago, even at the time, like, I mean, we can look at Frederick Douglass. There were people who bucked the system and did have the ability to get out of the terrible situation that they were in. But it doesn't mean that it still was ideal back then, and it still doesn't mean that it's ideal now. It's still harder for certain people in this country to succeed than others. That doesn't mean that they're unable to.
So is a black college worse than a white college?
Pardon?
Is a black college worse than a white college?
I No, based on those two things.
So if the answer is no, then when you're talking about education, if you're saying that we didn't have access to good education, we had black colleges. So wait. So caller, remember when I'm talking, you got to stop. So if you have a black college that you just said is not worse than the white college, and we're able to go to the black college, then how was there a difference in between our education as far as ours being worse and theirs being better? How can that be true when you just said that there was no difference? Explain.
Okay, so it's access to it. Just because there are black colleges that may, like, and maybe in 100 years ago, yeah, black college might have been worse because they wouldn't have the same resources. Are you changing your answer?
Are you changing your answer now? Because you just said no. Now you want to say was. So which one is it?
So
yes or no?
Can I explain, or do you just want a yes or no answer?
I'm because you said one thing, now you're saying something else. So let's just be clear.
Yeah. So I tried to give you a little bit of a more in-depth answer. So if we're talking about right now, absolutely not. Black colleges are, I would say, no different than white colleges, or just normal colleges. There's not really white colleges anymore, just normal colleges. But like maybe 100 years ago, yeah, black colleges might have not had the same resources. I don't know. Not something I've looked into. But I'd bet my life that there were a lot less black colleges, a lot less access to college ability, and even less access to primary education before to even get to college. So like 100 years ago or 50 years ago, these opportunities weren't there necessarily in full force as they are now, which made it hard for people to achieve generational wealth, right?
Okay, now why do you think there was less access to black schools than white schools?
Because like segregation and whatnot. I mean, I can.
It doesn't make any sense because like
laws if you want.
You said what now?
Okay, I can look up some like specific laws and whatnot.
No, I mean like
segregation of.
If you're gonna say anything, you need to understand what you're saying. Now, I'm gonna give you my viewpoint on it. If there's segregation and blacks must deal with other blacks, when you're talking about business and education, then we'll be able to educate each other, and we don't need to have intervention from anybody else. We could do a good job. So at that particular point, it's just black folks dealing with black folks. If you think that the black education given to a black person is worse than the white education given to a black person, then you must think that the whites are better able to educate than blacks just inherently. The money is not even important because you're talking about, wait, sir, I'm not done. The money is not important because you're talking about black folks educating black folks. So we're in the same boat. We're in the same area. We're not going to be charging a whole bunch of money and all these different things. We're going to take whatever you got and we're going to do with each other and build our own economy that's independent of white people. So we're going to educate ourselves the best we can. Now, if you say that education was not as good as whites, then you're saying that blacks were not as good as whites as far as being able to educate.
No,
So what are you saying?
I'm purely talking about, right? So I'm purely talking about resources, my dude. I don't believe in all that race.
Is it about money?
No, it's about resources.
Like
not
what?
just money. There's many different resources besides money.
Like what?
Right? What?
Like what?
I don't know. There's also
you don't know. I mean, wait. If you're gonna say that you don't know, then how can you can't, sir? You can't make an argument if you don't understand.
There's another one. Like, what are you talking about?
You said what now?
Like, this is pretty. I said like access to good teachers is a good one. Access to good like planning or stuff like that.
So you're saying that blacks? You're saying that blacks aren't as good as teachers as whites? What are we saying? Because all you can do, we say resources, you mean money. Because let's look at it like this. What's different between a black person being able to teach and a white person teaching? There's nothing different. Wait.
Education.
Okay.
You asked me a question. Do you want me to answer?
I wasn't done asking the question.
Okay, my bad.
You have a black teacher and a white teacher. There's no difference, right? We're all equal, right? If it's about money, you can't really talk about that because you're talking about black folks educating black folks. We'll take whatever you got and we'll exchange that way. We're not dealing with white people and trying to live up to their standards. We have our own thing going on here. We can just do with each other because segregation is going on. We're forced to do with each other. So it don't matter if you're like the top of the totem pole or the bottom of the totem pole. We're all in the same boat together, the same as the whites. So if our results are worse than the whites, the only thing that it can be is black folks just not being able to do the same job as the whites. There's no other explanation that you have.
No, like said. I mean, it comes down to even like it comes down to the difference in education. Like in the 60s or whatnot, a black person that was trying to get a teaching degree is probably going to have a lot less opportunities and a lot less resources to do that. I mean, we even look at like the books or the funding that schools would get. Back in the 60s, or even now in certain areas, certain schools are funded by property tax, which typically isn't the best way in my eyes to fund schools. Like, right?
So if you got an all black city, black mayor, black everything is run by black folks, the money that is going to come from a particular place will be given right back to people that are running it, that live there, that teach and everything else. It's an insulated system. So the money, you can't compare it to somewhere else where it's white. It's not the same thing. It's like trying to compare the education in Paducah, Kentucky to New York City. It doesn't make any sense. You can still get a good education in Kentucky, even though it's much less money and much less resources than New York City. Okay. But it's appropriate for that particular part of the country, for that particular part of the state, because you're just dealing with each other in that insulated environment. So the only difference at that point is the quality of the teachers. And if you're saying that a black person would have a worse time being able to get a good education from another black person, then you're saying that the white person is better able to teach than the black person. That's the only explanation you have. You have nothing else. But I got more calls. I have more calls on the line, so I'll give you the last word.
Can I ask you one more? Okay, cool. Are you aware of the Tulsa riots?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, so Tulsa was a very, very, very successful black community. I think it was called like the Black Wall Street because it was one of the most successful black areas in the country at the time. And what happened to it was because of some incidents with an alleged rape and then some fighting.
Yeah, I know what happened, but you gotta kind of speed along.
Yeah, I'm explaining to the callers, I guess. You know, it's a story. So
you gotta speed along though, because we got time. So go ahead, get to your...
Yeah, I was almost done. So yeah, they came around and completely burned and destroyed the city, and then it never really recovered. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I think that like white people are just superior, or maybe I'm trying to point to like actual historical things that have kind of been holding back certain people in this country. It's not just black people, but you know. I don't know.
All right. Thank you for the call.
Racist. I don't know. No problem, my dude.
I know. All right, shout out to the caller. Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's the one that always gets me. Black Wall Street. There were plenty of Black Wall Streets all over the United States that closed down after integration. That wasn't the only one in Tulsa. It was plenty. It was in Florida, and Harlem was a Black Wall Street at one particular point. Now look at Harlem. Harlem's becoming Starbucks USA. Harlem, San Francisco at one point was kind of like that. But things change. You know, Atlanta's still kind of like that, but not really. And as far as that whole thing with Tulsa, that was like a race riot. That was like mutual combat, and it was rebuilt and survived up until integration, where it was abandoned voluntarily. All right. Yeah. You know what I get from a lot of people that call in like that, a lot of people that white liberals, they think that white people are superior, but what the problem is, like a white liberal to me is the same as a white supremacist, but it just, they look at how they think about things just a little bit differently. They look at it from the point of view of, talking about a liberal now, the liberal sees it as bad that whites are superior and whites are so dominant over black folks. The white supremacist thinks that it's good that whites are superior and dominant over black folks, but the tie that binds them is the fact that they both think that white people are superior and dominant to white people. And I don't think that way. I think that we're all human beings. If you're not doing well in your life, that's your fault, or your parents' fault, or whoever. It's not the white man's fault. As simple as that. But let me get to the next call. 682, you know the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, Beef. Hello.
What's going on? Everything's good, man.
Hey, BL. Thank you for allowing me to be maybe the last caller of the night.
No, we still got plenty of calls. We still got plenty of time on the line. So what's happening?
No, I've been listening to the program, and these last two callers that you've had are so off the wall that I don't know how you allow them to be on your phone, on your program.
No, it's all fun to me.
It may be fun to you, but to me, it's not.
Okay.
But I'm gonna tell you something. This stuff that's going on right now is serious and not so much serious. Okay. And I'm Chris from Texas.
Okay.
And I am in the Metroplex area of Fort Worth. Okay, so we're living in the state of shutdown. Don't move. Okay.
I can't understand what you're saying. What did you say?
We're in the state here in Texas, Fort Worth.
Okay.
Texas. Next to Dallas, Texas. And
Don't call here drunk. Don't. I was trying to give him a chance, but something ain't right. If he's just like, if something's wrong with him, just like, but it's like he was drinking. Don't call here drinking. It's simple, man. Let's get to some more calls. All right, hold on. I think my Skype actually crashed too. No, I think we're good. No, I think that did crash. But yeah, don't call here drinking. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and restart Skype. And you guys know the drill. The number to call is 434-658-1220. Let me just go ahead and restart this so I can get tighten up a little bit. Yeah, if you had like one drink, like, you know what? Know your limits. How about that? Know your limits. One thing I have seen is that the alcohol sales have skyrocketed through this whole Corona thing. So don't, it's a coronavirus, not go to the store and get some Corona. Tighten yourself up. Don't get sloppy drunk. Okay, Skype wants to update. That's what's going on. Do blacks live down south? Of course. Most black folks live in the South. That's where the biggest black population is in the South. But I'm told that the South is racist. So why is everybody black live down here? Sorry for that. For the ringing. But yeah, I'm told that the South is racist. So why's why we got all these black folks living down here? All right, let's get to the next call. All right, caller, you're on the line, 682. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, ABL.
What's going on?
For some reason or another, we got shut off.
Oh, okay. All right, caller. If you listen to me, caller, 682. You can't. You one call per night. I'll leave it at that. I'll move on to the next caller. Okay, let's go to the next one. 712, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, ABL, this is Alan. I don't know about that one caller right there. It makes me feel bad let's look at this. Ben Carson's pretty smart, all right? Let me just end it with that one.
Yep.
You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, I kind of want to talk a little bit about, is it OAN? Is that right? With the White House Correspondents Association, whatever the hell they call themselves. I think it's time to eliminate them people because, in fact, I think Trump ought to just say, you know what, we're done with you guys. You're an independent anyway, and we need to have people that are actually conservatives also to be in the newsroom. Now, CNN and MSNBC and them commies, if they don't want to show the briefings and stuff, fine. Make room for somebody else. Make somebody else room where somebody else will go in there and film it, like Right Side Broadcasting, whatever. That's what I think. I think their time's gone because, like you just got done saying, an ABC director, the way I understand it, is president of the White House Correspondents, correct?
That's right.
And basically, he is, as far as I'm saying, he's a liberal. They're not even really news media anymore. It's an opinion piece anymore. You watch any of them. So I just think it's time to get rid of them. So that's how I feel about that. Maybe President Trump can just say, hey, you know what? Or maybe somebody needs to actually, better yet, why don't you sue them? You know, just like that gal. You talk about diversity, they don't have no diversity in there anymore. So maybe they ought to just sue them. But anyhow, I want to bring that one up. And the other thing I want to bring up, we're talking about Biden, but I don't want to really hit the old man a little bit. I'd rather see him be the nominee. But I'm kind of think they're kind of grooming Cuomo a little bit here. But I just want to let the readers know here a little bit. In 2015, from the New York State Health Department, which is he was governor at the time, basically they said that came out with a memo saying that they need, like, if a pandemic would ever show up, that they need 15,783 ventilators. What did he do? He didn't buy one, bought 0. So him blaming Trump that I'm not getting the ventilators, he had actually from 2015, this is 2020, he had 5 years to get at least one. So just want to start out with that. Okay, another one here. We talked about Fauci, or was that his name? Dr. Fauci or Fauci or whatever?
Oh, Fauci.
Fauci, okay. I got some dates here I just heard just recently. January 21st and January 26th. He was asked about this pandemic, and he basically said that it's not a major threat. That was his words. It's not a major threat. It's low risk. Then on the January 28th, they say about, I'm going to nail this on Pelosi too here, and these people trying to start another impeachment bull crap. Okay, on the 28th, Senator Cotton came out and warned us about basically there's a pandemic that's kind of starting in Wuhan. So then basically the 28th, right after that, the 29th, the next day, President Trump starts the organization for the task force. And then basically January 31st, Trump did a travel ban on China, which of course they were all saying, hey, he's racist and homophobe or whatever. Okay, now on February 24th, Pelosi goes down to Chinatown and says, come on down to Chinatown. Come on, let's go. We're going to have a dinner together. Let's all get together here. All right? And then, okay, you have also, on March 2nd, Blasio, which is New York City's mayor, he basically says, hey, New Yorkers, you do your thing. You don't worry about this thing. You do your own thing. And then March 13th, of course, Trump did a travel ban from Europe. I'm not too sure if I really trust this Pelosi guy. I mean, that doctor. I think it's maybe his time to maybe. He's been there since the AIDS pandemic. So he's not exact. To me, he's kind of like, in a way, maybe he is kind of a deep stater, but he's definitely Italian or basically New Yorker. So I think that, him saying this and all of a sudden he's make us all panicky, basically. So I just think I think it's time. Maybe we ought to just eliminate him and find somebody else that's probably a lot better. So on that, that's how. I mean, what do you think on that? I mean, do you think that he's really? I mean, seems like he's on CNN and MSVs all the time, so he seems real comfortable out there, and they praising him and everything like that. And like I said, Pelosi with this power grab all the time is what I see. What do you think on that? I mean, do you think I'm hitting the basics here, or them just trying to say, well, it's all going to be Trump's fault? And
I'm not sure what the question is.
Well, I guess my question is, I mean, with Pelosi trying to do all this crap, these dates here, or even Cuomo trying to become, who knows if Joe will even make it all the way. But
yeah, hard to tell. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with that as far as Joe.
I just think that we need to get back. I mean, I know my risks are. I'm an older guy. I know what my risks are. I know we got to get this country back to work. And I don't think, if you listen to the doctors all the time, they're going to say, oh, we're going to need this closed down for 6 months or so.
Yeah,
so,
that's just way too long. You don't have that much time. Time is really kind of a precious resource at this particular point. But I may cut you off, but I got a lot of calls on the line I got to get to. Second for the call, man. Definitely appreciate you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, shout out to the caller. Let's get to some more calls here. The number to call is 434-658-1220. I'm gonna go ahead and get on in it. All right, call you on the line. Who am I speaking to? 617.
Yeah, man. This is Ivan. What's wrong with those callers, man? What's wrong with you, man?
What happened? What did I do?
What's wrong with your callers? One caller said that he heard that the checks will come in 3 months. He heard. Why he doesn't go to the IRS website and find out?
Well, he was right because some of them will come in 3 months.
Well, but he said that we have to. Well, those were going to be by mail, and you could change it. You could have direct deposit if you want.
No. You can't change it. See, what happens is if you had your previous.
I know you could.
No. So I'm gonna say what I gotta say. I'm gonna just put you on mute because I'm gonna say what I gotta say because you're putting out false information. You can't change it because they're going off of your previous tax return. So if in your previous tax return you had direct deposit set up, then you would get your check in the same way. If you did not have direct deposit set up, then you would get it mailed to your house. And it may take up until August to get your check, but go ahead.
No, that's not true.
It is true. That's what they said on TV.
It's not true.
It is true. You want to bet money on that?
Next.
You want to bet money?
Next.
Let's bet some money on it.
No, next. Okay, so I think you should watch the movie of this woman that was used to work for NASA. That you said that black people didn't have obstacles in the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, and 60s, even in the 70s, because segregation.
Hold on, what happened? What do you say?
You should watch the woman.
No, hold on. I didn't hear what you said. So repeat what you said.
We have black people didn't have obstacles from the.
Who said that?
You said they didn't have any obstacles.
No, I didn't.
You did it when you were talking to the guy. Yes.
No, I didn't.
You said that because a few there were HBCU, black people could go to school. Wasn't that simple? I mean, yes, there were BCUs, but not everyone could go to a BCU. It wasn't that simple. So just watch. I had it on my screen on my computer. Her name.
Well, I mean, if black folks couldn't all go to HBCUs, then what's caller? I'm going to talk on my show. If black folks couldn't all go to HBCUs, then white folks couldn't all go to college. It's the same thing. So what are you talking about?
Wasn't as easy.
How do you know?
Not every black person.
What do you know about that? Do you know anything about that?
So listen.
So, caller, caller. Listen, Ivan, listen. I'm gonna talk, and you're gonna be quiet. How do you know? You're not black, okay? And I got parents, I got grandparents. I got both of my grandparents were teachers in the civil rights era, okay? And they grew up in that whole thing. They went to HBCUs. How are you gonna tell me about that? I know more about that than you. I got people that were actually, I got people that were actually in it at the time when it was going on. Do you have anybody that was going on in it while it was going on?
Family who came here in 1950, 1960.
And they were black. They were black and they went to HBCUs.
They didn't go to HBCU.
All right then. So what are you talking about?
It was here in the United States.
So you're going off of secondhand reports. You're not going off of firsthand reports like I am. So we'll move on.
Anthony, listen to the story of Thomas Sowell. You know who Thomas Sowell is?
Yeah.
So Thomas Sowell moved from North Carolina to New York. In North Carolina, when he moved to New York, he was never been in a library because the segregation. He couldn't go to a library. And even he said that when he moved from from North Carolina to New York, I think went to fourth grade, they put in two grades back because the schools in North Carolina, due to segregation, they didn't get enough funding, there wasn't enough money, the books they were like way behind. All that stuff. So just educate yourself.
That's what I said earlier. I was talking about how I'm going to talk now. I'm going to talk now. You're going to be muted. I just said that with the other caller. I was like, look, if you're in Paducah, Kentucky, education will be less than if you go to New York. It's going to be much different. I mean, you can still get a good education in these particular places. And if you think that where you live is not really good for education, you can move the same as Thomas Sowell did. What prevented Thomas Sowell from being able to move to New York and get an education when he was a kid? And he was black and he was black and he was able to move. So you brought up Thomas Sowell. Let's talk about Thomas Sowell. He was able to leave North Carolina where the education was not as good and go to New York where education was better. And then he became like this super intelligent and educated guy into his adulthood. So why couldn't any black person did that? And matter of fact, a lot of black folks did do that. It's called the Great Migration. You know anything about that? Apparently you don't, sir, but we'll move on.
So just look at those videos and educate yourself.
Sir, listen, you can't tell me to educate myself. Like, I know about Black history. Number one, I'm Black. So I got family that told me these stories, and I've studied it throughout my entire life. Like, I know about this more than you do. So don't try to educate me about Black history, sir. But let's move on.
You say that you should not investigate Trump with the issue with the COVID-19. You say you should not investigate him?
Investigate who?
The Trump administration with the issue of the COVID-19. You said you should not investigate him, yes or no?
Nah, they shouldn't investigate him.
Okay, so the investigator for Bill Clinton for the Whiteware investigation, something that happened in 1980, they investigated in January of 1993. Then Paola Jones, that was one of his girlfriends, then ended up with Monica Lewinsky. So it was a 7-year investigation. During the 9/11, they investigated Bush because of the 9/11 situation. It was investigated because of the Iraq War. During the Barack Obama, they investigated Hillary because of Benghazi, because I think 7 people died in Benghazi. They investigated because the emails. They investigated because Fast and Furious, Eric Holder, and I don't know what other thing they investigated. I know there were a bunch of, the IRS situation scandal. So now, why Trump is different? Why we shouldn't investigate him?
Well, what's the reason why we're going to investigate him?
Because we have a pandemic. We need to know what were the failures during the pandemic.
What failures?
And so we need to investigate to see what went wrong and what can we improve.
What failures are you talking about? What were the failures?
Well, I mean, why we don't have a test? Why it wasn't enough tests?
What's that got to do with Trump? I mean, is he the guy that's going to be able to administer tests?
Not necessarily that. You know what I'm saying? The administration. I'm not saying the.
Okay, but what do they got to do with it?
Well, it got to do like maybe it was a failure from the CDC, maybe it was a failure from the Human Services, maybe it was a failure from the Health Services.
It's a new virus. It's a new virus. I had to figure out what it was first.
No.
So it's not a new virus?
Yeah, it is a new virus.
Okay, then. So they can't just, you got a brand new virus. I'm going to talk. It's a brand new virus. You can't just say, here's a brand new virus. We don't really know what it is. We're going to call it the coronavirus because we don't have a real name for it yet. But we're going to have a test prepared and ready, and we're going to spread it all over the United States. We don't care about if it's accurate. We don't care about the efficacy of it. We don't care about the safety of it. We just put it out there to the world right now because we got to have it. And if we don't do it, then we got to get investigated for it. Does that make any sense?
Makes sense. Okay, so I guess you're not making sense.
I'm making perfect sense. I'm making a lot of sense right now.
You're not making any sense because so the previous investigation there were failures and there were some successes during
what failures?
The whole thing. There were failures during the 9/11. There were
no. I'm talking about this particular. I'm talking about this right here.
But we can't exempt him.
Sir, what were the failures in this thing with the coronavirus?
Okay, there were massive failures. Okay, number one, the pandemic thing was dismantled.
That's not true. False.
The pandemic thing was dismantled.
False.
In 2000.
Information.
Okay,
next.
All right. So you know what the pandemic response team was? Tell me their names.
I don't know their names. Do you know their names?
So they didn't have a pandemic team.
That's
new.
false.
Dr. Fauci, Deborah, this is new. They established a pandemic team in January. We didn't have a pandemic team because it dismantled the pandemic team.
That's false. You keep repeating the same thing. Move on to the next thing.
Okay, so that was a failure. We didn't have a pandemic team in
Look,
China.
I mean, I said move on and start repeating yourself. So move on and start repeating yourself.
The other failure was why didn't get the test from the World Health Organization when they
Okay, all right. So you don't have anything. I'm gonna get to the next call. Thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate you. All right, shout out to Ivan for the call. But yeah, the test, it's a brand new virus. You can't just have tests readily available for a brand new virus. The test just came about, the virus just hit the scene December of last year. And in January, Trump stopped traveling from China. So, and tests after that, you get them as soon as you can get them. What are you going to do? All right, let's get to some more calls. If you call in again and you already got through earlier, I cannot take your call again. 1 call per night, even if it were a short call. So 682, I cannot get your call. But let me get to the next call. Let's go 856 on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, ABL, can you hear me?
I hear you well.
Okay, I just have a question. Did you ever realize how dependent we are on China for multiple things.
Oh yeah, I realized it. I mean, not to the extent that we're going through right now, but I realized it as far as like our cell phones. Like, there's no cell phones manufactured or assembled, whatever they want to call it, in the U.S. All of it is in China. So your iPhone, your Samsung, everything, China. So I knew that there was an issue.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I knew there was an issue.
I also wanted to ask you: do you think that Donald Trump understands how dependent we are upon China?
Absolutely. That's why he's trying to do this whole trade war thing, because he realizes how much of a gap there is in between what we give them and what they give us as far as trade. The trade deficit is crazy. So that's why, he's trying to promote manufacturing and different jobs here in the United States. America first. That was the whole thing. So I think he realizes it. But I think now that we're going through this whole crisis, I think everybody's able to understand it in a little bit of a deeper way.
Yeah, there's this book called China RX. It's a very informative book. It actually goes on to say how we, as the United States, as well as other countries around the world, get 80 to 90% of our pharmaceutical supplies from China. There has been countless experiments with drugs that come in from China and their ability to actually treat what they're indicated for. So my question to you is, do you think after going through all this and our relationship that we now have with China, do you think that then drugs are to be suspicious? Should we question their availability, I guess?
Well, yeah, always. I mean, anything that comes from China, you got to question just to make sure that everything's on the up and up. And I'm not really sure what kind of quality control is done.
Well, the FDA isn't allowed in there right now. So that's why I ask all these people that in our nation that are on prescription drugs, and you really don't know what you're getting. You could be getting something that is absolutely nothing, like a placebo, or you could be getting like a heart medication for a thyroid disorder. So I was just curious of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. I'm not really sure what kind of quality control can be done once the drugs reach the United States, if there can be any. So I'm not really sure. I think people should be wary of anything that comes from China.
Yeah, I think that we need to open up our pharmaceuticals and start making our own again. A lot of our pharmaceutical industries, buildings, and manufacturing plants that we have here in this country are up for foreclosure, unfortunately. And I think the United States should buy them back. So I wanted to know your thoughts on that. Do you think we should pay more for a U.S. product, or we should sub out to another country to undercut the U.S., I guess?
Well, you got to pay more because what's going to happen is if we have more jobs here, then the cost will be offset by the fact that we have more people getting paid and more money into the economy. So you got to pay more here. And then also some of these regulations we have on the books, they got to go, because the regulations are also killing us, because a lot of these jobs are being offshore, not because of cost necessarily, but because of the regulations that prevent them from being here in the States. So loosen up some of the regulation and also just eat some of that higher cost, because that will just help the country overall rather than being dominated by China.
I absolutely agree with you. So my last question that I'm going to ask is this. If China holds that much power over us now, and there has been talks through different media sites and online and all, of them withholding these pharmaceuticals from the United States, then how fast do you think the United States can rebound and react to that? Or will we have a complete catastrophe?
That's a good question. I think that it may take a while for us to rebound and react. Luckily, the supply chain does not begin and end with China. There are other countries. It's going to be a disruption.
Well, they're at 80 and 90. They're from 80 to 90% for all countries relying upon China, not just ours.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, it's going to be a disruption, but we got to do something. We can't just allow these things to persist like this.
Yes, I wish more people would bring that to the forefront, because they kind of hold the world hostage in this way.
Yeah, definitely.
Very important. Okay, well, thank you for your time. I just wanted to know your thoughts.
Well, thank you for the call. Definitely appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, shout out to the caller. And thank you all for being here. You guys have been great. We got a lot of callers on the line. I'm going to try to get to everybody as soon as I can. Y'all just hang tight. Let's go 251 on the line. Who am I speaking to?
What?
Yes.
Hey, this is Shalonda Glover.
All righty. What's going on?
Hey, I was listening to the caller before, the young lady that just spoke about our dependency on China. He was asking about the investigation that needs to be done for China. And from my understanding, the bill that was just passed, the relief package, had a provision in there to make checks and balances for what has gone on and, you know, the things that we need to look at going forward. So there is checks and balances that has been put in place that Congress did okay for us to check those things.
Okay.
And I think that we should go to China and have them cut off some of our debt to them because of this big package that we had to put together to try to save our economy.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, but I see where you're coming from for sure.
Yeah. But that's all I wanted to say. I listen to you all the time, and I really enjoy your content.
Well, thank you for the call and your support. I definitely appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Shout out to the caller. Great call. You guys have been great tonight. We still got about a half hour left, and the phone lines are still jumping. I'm going to get to a few more calls here. All right, caller, you on the line. 217, who am I speaking to?
Hey, hello. Is this Anthony Brian Logan?
Yes, it is.
Hey, glad I got through. I wanted to call and kind of throw in my 2 cents about the whole. Basically, it sounded like you guys were talking about the white privilege kind of issue with the one caller, and I remember he was talking about redlining and that sort of stuff. And my kind of position on that, my tendency is to think the whole white privilege thing is nonsense, which I think is the same opinion you share on that. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, however, I try to be fair-minded because I have a number of friends who buy into it. And, I don't think they're idiots. So I say to myself, okay, what is their position? Like, is there any validity to it? And I know, like, one of, the good things you can do when you disagree with someone is try to argue their point. Like, could I argue their point and make a fair point out of it? And the best I can do is just to say, okay, there is like economic disparity, right, in the black community versus like the white community and whatnot. And I know sometimes people will point to the Asian community and say, hey, they're doing great and everything, but so why is there a difference? But there is a disparity, and Jim Crow happened and slavery did happen, and I'm inclined to think that surely that plays a role in why there is a disparity economically. And I think kind of where the disagreement happens is like, I don't know there's like, I think on the other side of the argument, people try to point that out and sometimes they try to say things are happening now. And I don't think that's true. I mean, like, cause it's illegal for that stuff to be happening now. And if it is, like it needs to be stopped, obviously. But I guess, trying to think of how to make this point. So it's not happening now, and there's laws against that stuff from happening now. But I do think it's fair to say that there's a residual effect where the other side wants to do something about it. But I think usually their answers are the wrong answers. And I think most of the answers need to, maybe it's just going to take time. I don't know. I guess if there's a question for you is, have you ever tried to argue, like, have you ever tried to kind of like take the devil's advocate and argue against your own position on it? And what, if so, like, what were your thoughts when you do that? And like, and how do you address those thoughts? Like, for instance, like,
well, I gotta answer your question. I gotta answer your question because you kind of
go
okay.
For it.
Okay, now,
go for it.
I was on the other side at one point. At one point, I was liberal, so I used to argue that point all the time, and I had kind of similar viewpoints as other people. I was like, well, slavery happened. That's why we are in the state that we're in. But slavery has nothing to really do with it. The Jim Crow thing, nothing to do with it. I mean, that's not nothing. With Jim Crow, what happened was you had two different societies, basically, or different societies. We were just not in white society. That was the only thing. But during that particular point in time, we were able to make do with what we had. We were able to do with each other. and have things amongst each other. Just because we couldn't be among white people, it doesn't mean that we just were not able to survive or able to succeed or do anything like that on our own. Madam C.J. Walker was the first female millionaire in the USA. Not first black female, although she was black, the first female millionaire, period, like in 1920, early. So, I mean, how was that going on when you had all this Jim Crow and KKK and all this and that going on? If it was just such as big and omnipotent thing that just control every aspect of our life. That wasn't the case. The Negro Leagues, we had our own baseball organization before Major League Baseball came out, and it was very popular. Everything was good. The reason why it disbanded and people like Jackie Robinson and they left was because they said that the managerial part of it wasn't good. We'd be on raggedy buses, and the amenities weren't really good. So Jackie Robinson said, okay, I'm going to go to the major leagues because they have better amenities. That's really what happened. Back in his day, he was seen as a traitor for leaving the Negro Leagues. It was a black-owned thing. There were plenty of black-owned organizations, black-owned businesses. People decided to leave because they thought that it'd be better to go over with other people. So this whole thing about, oh, well, Jim Crow affected us negatively, I don't really see how. Really what happened was we made our own choices, and our own choices put us in bad situations and bad positions. And so I don't like trying to blame other people for what we did and mistakes that we made. I'm not saying Jim Crow was good or that it was somehow justified. I'm just saying the real reason why there is some disparity. And when you say disparity, you're looking at white versus black, but you're not looking at regular people versus regular people. When you put white versus black, you're looking at, you're including Bill Gates and Elon Musk, and you are, because we're looking at like the disparity, because where I'm at, I see white people, grown adults going through trash, trying to find something to eat, side of the road with a sign.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying is that you do have the disparity just based on the average. If you take
wait, hold on. Let's pause for a minute. You say that you're not saying that, but then you say there's a disparity. So when you say there's a disparity, what are you talking about specifically?
Well, there's various disparities. Like there's economic disparities. Like the average household income of average African American family is obviously a lot lower.
Okay, but let's pause again. Let's pause. Hold on.
Sure.
Let's pause. So what I was saying just now is that you're including in that average Elon Musk, Bill Gates, you're including Warren Buffett, you're including the tops of the top. You got to compare apples to apples. You got to compare regular people versus regular people.
There's Oprah Winfrey. There's LeBron James.
Okay. All right. So let's compare. Let's compare regular folks to regular folks. Let's not put the super rich or anything on either side, and then you'll see a clearer picture. I understand, but let's caller. Hold on. Let's compare people that are just regular, average, everyday normies to each other, and then you'll see a better comparison, and then you'll be able to understand what's really going on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know like what the numbers are when you like exclude, the wealthiest people and like see what they are. I mean, based on things I've heard, and I don't claim to be a human database, but based on things I've gathered from everything I've heard, that there is like a fairly dramatic disparity, or someone might look into, prison, like how many people are in prison and that sort of thing. And I agree with you that right now, as far as like what solutions are personal responsibility. Solutions come from within the family and so on and so forth. I think you guys you and the other caller were talking about, family. Well, no, you were talking about, you were talking about education, with the historical black colleges and all that. And while you were talking about that, I got to thinking about like all the different facets of education, for instance. Like, let's say if we're going to get away from necessarily just the money thing. But like with education comes from more than just teachers in a school, right? It's also like the families. And if you have a history of families who are denied education, it stands to reason, at least in my mind, that they might have a more
let's pause. Let's pause again. Let's pause again.
Sure.
So when were we denied education?
I would assume during slavery. Like, was it not?
Okay, so
was it not disallowed?
When did slavery end?
Well, I'm talking about the generational effect.
When did slavery end?
I don't know. 1870 maybe? I don't know, somewhere around there.
65.
Sure.
So are we still talking about things that happened in 1865 as the reason why things are bad now?
This is kind of I'm saying that I am of the opinion that there is a fair point to be made when someone suggests. Now I just want to go back and clarify. I'm with you that I do think, like, ultimately, it's like, what's the purpose of somebody bringing it up? Like, my purpose is not the same purpose of like a liberal person who brings it up, that there's disparity that happened and it had residual effects. But I agree with that person that disparity happened, or, you know, like there was differences, there was mistreatment, and there was all sorts of bad things that happened in the past. And I also agree that it had a residual effect. But what I think should happen, or, you know, changes that need to happen now, I don't agree with that liberal person, right?
So okay, I got a question to ask you. What was the residual effect from slavery that can be seen now?
I'm not claiming to be like someone who's like done, like, I mean, I've listened to a lot of what Thomas Sowell has to say on the topic, you know, and he's made a lot of, you know, points about how I don't remember the names of, like, the different acts that were passed, you know, like welfare reform and that sort of thing, you know, that the welfare changes, you know, that kind of like encouraged poor families, and they just happen to be more poor black families, you know, who, you know, would take advantage and would not stay with their spouses, and then like fatherless homes being. So I mean, to me, like, solutions are, you know, culture needs to change. There needs to be more fatherhood, you know, among, you know, black families and that sort of thing, so they can enjoy the benefits, you know. And obviously that's like a multiracial issue nowadays, but we know that it's more exacerbated on that among blacks. But I just because the thing is, I don't think that blacks are inferior, obviously, you know, that's obvious. But then if that's the case, okay, it's obvious that no one race is inferior to another race, and yet you look at their circumstances, and maybe that's where we're disagreeing. Like, if you're saying, like, okay, if you take out the Bill Gates and all them, that you don't think there's that much disparity. I guess I don't know that that's true.
Well, that's not what I said, though.
Okay, well, clarify, but go ahead.
Well, what I was saying is, let's compare people that are just regular, and then you'll be able to get a clearer picture of what's going on. You'll be able to see what's happening among these people, and then you'll be able to figure out, okay, this is why this is going on. Now, I got time constraints here, so I'm going to get to another call, but before I go, I want to say this.
That's fine.
Now, the issue is just choices that we're making. That's all that there is. There's no need to look and try to blame or try to say that slavery had an impact, because I'll give you a stat and then I'll get to the next call. In 1960, we had an 80% two-parent household in the black community. There was a report written by a liberal Democrat in 1960 by Daniel Patrick Moynihan called the Moynihan Report. You can look it up right now. It's on Google for free, the entire report. 1860, 80% two-parent household. Do you know what the single-parent household rate is right now in the black community in 2020?
It's like 70%, something like that.
Yeah, 73%. So we went from an 80% two-parent household, two married parents in the black household in 1960 to 73% single-parent household in 2020. How can that have some kind of link to slavery when it was better prior to today, 50 years ago, when it was closer to the end of slavery? You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate you. Thank you for the call.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Shout out to the caller. Let's get to the next call. No, King, what's happening?
Yo, man, not much. You?
Everything's good here, man. Trying to survive the quarantine.
Yeah. I was watching some WrestleMania, and I decided to call ABL afterwards.
So are they still, like, did they have it with no fans?
Yeah, they taped it beforehand, and it was pretty awesome. I enjoyed it.
So hold on, but like there was no fans there?
No fans at all.
So
they just pre-taped it.
How was that? Like, how did that really work?
It was very awkward. There's a lot of dead air, right? It's not the same.
Right.
You need the fans there, but they did a good job though. Pretty entertaining.
Okay.
But I did have a bad day because someone in my family actually went to the hospital because of a panic attack.
Wow.
And that has to do with the media, because the media, all this fear mongering with the COVID. I'll give you an example. They had someone in Ontario. He made an announcement to show them the projections, right, of how many people could possibly die. So what they did was they said, because of the precautions we've taken, only about 2,000 people are going to die at the end of the month. And then they said, if we didn't take the precautions, 100,000 people would have died, right? So you're like, whoa, wait a minute, 2,000, 100,000. But the thing they didn't clarify is that the 100,000 had to do with 18 months to 2 years of projection.
Wow.
So they're putting it on the ticker, like on CNN when someone's talking, you can see the I don't know what it's called, on the ticker at the bottom, the news.
Right.
And they keep putting this like it could have been 100,000 deaths. It could still be 100,000 deaths if we don't keep doing the precautions. So this person in my family is seeing news like this constantly. They're getting news from overseas and they're freaking out, and they ended up having a panic attack. And I just think the media is being really irresponsible with the way they're delivering this information, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, definitely, because people, they're freaking out. They're panicking. Like, I'm seeing it all over the place. I'm seeing all the crazy masks, and people are going through all kind of crazy lengths to try and not get the virus. It's a mental health thing. And then people are on quarantine on top of that. So they're stuck in their house. They're watching the news, and it's 24/7. Virus. People are cracking up. I'm seeing it, and it's really unfortunate.
And you can't even visit them because the hospitals are closed. But anyway, I also want to say thank you very much for what you did at that panel. That lady, she's a bit crazy, and I'm just glad you were there. I mean, she's smart, don't get me wrong, but she gave me that vibe like Jesse Lee Peterson, where she comes in with certain talking points, and she's not flexible. You know what I mean? She just wants to say stuff like Jim Crow wasn't that bad, and the black family. Right. But you were there. You listened to what people had to say. You connected with them. And I really appreciate that. We need more of that, not this judgmental crap that a lot of conservatives have. And the last thing I wanted to say was I was watching a documentary do you know who Louis Theroux is? He's a British guy.
No, I don't.
OK, so he did a documentary in 2017 where he was in Milwaukee. And I don't know if you know, Milwaukee has a really bad problem with gangs and violence.
Yeah, it's like Little Chicago.
Yeah, so you were talking to those people on the panel about how they're blaming slavery, they're blaming all these other things, the educational system, but it definitely has to do with the culture, because Louis was noticing that a lot of these guys, they had issues with their dad, they were very violent, very emotional, and I just think, I find also with a lot of white people, they feel like they're doing us a favor by victimizing us and feeling sorry for us. But they need to be honest with us and say, hey, you guys need to get your stuff together, to be perfectly honest. And also just treat us like individuals, not like as a species that needs to be pitied and, made to feel sorry for. I wanted to get a lot of things off my chest. I have a whole mix of emotions, this thing at the hospital and WrestleMania, and so I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm looking at the time. I'm running out of time. People are complaining in the chat. I don't want to be on too long. I love talking to you. Keep up the good work, man. You're one of my heroes, man, and just keep it up. I hope to see you run for office or something. So all the best, man.
Thank you for that, man. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
No problem. Peace.
All right, my man Nolo King with the very kind words. Shout out to my man Nolo King for those words. All right, let's get to my next call. 214, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, man, what's going on? This is Tariq, bro.
Everything's good, man. What's happening?
Oh, man, bro, I gotta talk to you about the debate you was on, man. Bro, that lady who you had as your partner, she was terrible, bro. I don't know what her name was. I hope she's not someone that because I really want to go in on her, man.
Nah, I don't know her. Nah.
All right, good, bro. Because you see, the problem I have with those type of Trump supporters, bro, is that they make us all look bad. Like, she got the whole Trump support and get up. But, bro, she made no sense, bro. She made no points. And every time she talked, it was very annoying, bro. And then, like, and this is the problem when you're trying to convince black people about conservatives. She is the wrong person, bro, because they asked a question about slavery, and she almost made it as if slavery was a good thing for black people. Oh, they taught us how to read. They taught us how to do this. It don't matter. You were a slave. Like, you know what I'm saying, bro? And then when they threw her the question that I think one of the liberals was asking her, who taught black people Christianity? that's so easy to answer, man. She was bumbling around a question like, you know what I'm saying? She couldn't say slave master. I would have said, okay, yeah, the slave masters taught black people Christianity, but where in the Bible does it tell white people to enslave black people or any other race? You can't find that anywhere in the Bible, and there were many Christians against slavery. You know, you can answer things like that, but to make slavery look good in order to try to say that we should, you know what I'm saying, not worry about it, I thought that was horrible. I agree that we should forgive but never forget, but not get too bogged down by it. But yeah, man, like her, like she was just a joke. I'm just like, dang, they couldn't find any other person to come along on the show with you. I feel like they purposely chose her to make black Trump supporters look bad, man. Because I'm telling you, if you weren't on that show, bro, if it was just her, bro, I would have been pissed, bro. I would have been very upset, man. And the other thing is Kevin Martin. I have a major problem with Kevin Martin. Kevin Martin is one of those weak Romney, Bush type Republicans. They fight for nothing. They fall and roll over whatever liberals do. I remember Kevin Martin was on CNN. See, this is the problem with these weak Republicans like him, because they can get used. You know, CNN finds these type of black Republicans who are upset with, you know, they are kind of upset with Trump about things, and they call him out. Those are the target that CNN and liberals want, because they know they can use these idiots to paint confusion against the Trump movement. So yes, Kevin Martin is one of them. He was on CNN talking about, you know, if Trump is alienating black folks, and many black folks like myself and others are starting to move away with them. I'm like, bro, you don't talk for black people, bro. Okay, we don't see him being racist or alienating black folks. You don't get to say statements like that. You know what I'm saying? You are saying that because the media puts you on so that people can see that there's disparity in the Trump movement. And then when it came to the question of LGBT, this is the problem I have with Kevin Martin. I understand that accept people for who they are. But what they're not saying is how the LGBT agenda is pushed heavily on black people. Like, a black person cannot say, I don't agree with it, although I respect you can do whatever you want to do, I don't agree with it without being attacked, without being maligned, without getting their career. Like, look at what happened to Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart has made a gay joke 10 years ago. He apologized for it 10 years ago. Then he was asked to lead off in the Oscars, whatever. Some troll brought up that comment he made about gays 10 years ago that he already apologized for. And they're forcing this man to apologize for it again. You know what I'm saying? Then what the LGBT community likes to do is they like to say, oh, we're suffering like black people. It is no different from the civil rights movement. They use what black people went through to elevate their movement. I would have answered that like that. I have no problem with people being gay, but don't use my history to elevate your movement, okay? People didn't like black people for the color of their skin, not because who they slept with. Who you slept with, that is a choice. You can't look at somebody and be like they're gay. Like some people you can, but some people hide it so well you don't know that they are, okay? But when you see someone who's black, they're black. You can't change that. So that's the problem I have with Kevin Martin, because he comes with that liberal type. He painted as if conservatives are we just walk around hating gay people. That's not the problem. Nobody cares. It's just the LGBT movement, their forcefulness. And I like how you talked about the transgender, how they try to push that on our children. At such a young age, you got kids taking hormones. That is a problem. That is something up for debate. And Kevin Martin, he doesn't say anything. That's the problem I have with those weak conservatives. They don't say anything. It's frustrating. So yeah, bro, you did great on that debate. The woman that was your partner, she was horrible, bro. She was like, I'm telling you, man, even when you read through the comment section, everyone was railing on her. And then Kevin Martin, man, he's just one of those black folks that he's like a Anthony Scaramucci. When you want to criticize the president, that's that Republican that you find to bring up. He's going to say a bunch of liberal talking points. Oh, I don't know, the Republican Party left me. You know, it's like, no one listens to you clowns because you're weak. Y'all get nothing done. You guys fight for nothing. Like, conservatives have been losing under y'all. We got Trump fighting back. You guys don't fight. Y'all roll over and adopt liberal policies. Bro, I swear to God, if it was me and you up there, I promise you, bro, we would have mopped the floor, bro.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, bro, we would have mopped the floor, bro. Like, they get rid of that goofy Trump supporter with that stuff. I'm telling you, bro. But yeah, bro, that's what I want to talk to you about. And real quick, the other thing, man, you got the phone with Ivan, and I'm having a problem with the liberals because even though we are going through this coronavirus thing, all the liberals are they're still focused on Trump, bro. Well, Trump didn't take this serious a couple months ago. Do you know why he didn't take this serious a couple months ago? Because you idiots was trying to impeach him. You idiots rushed an impeachment in December. It was a doomed to fail impeachment. But you went through it anyway. You occupied the whole country's time in January and half the country's time in February, where we could have been talking about this coronavirus. So don't sit there and talk about what Trump has done when you guys sit there and you guys hold up the entire Congress for something that's fair because you don't like Trump personally. Like, this is an emotional thing. That's why that clown Ivan calls you all the time, because the problem with liberals, bro, is that they attach themselves to these candidates emotionally. They don't understand policy. They don't understand Trump's policy at all. They just don't like that he's an alpha male that just says what he wants to say, and if you whine and complain about him, he ignores you or clowns you. That's what Ivan's problem with Trump. Ivan never talks. I mean, he comes to you with these small little talking points. Trump said it's just so small, bro. That I'm shocked that you have so much patience for him, bro. I would have hung that clown up. But yeah, bro, that's pretty much what I want to say, man. Good job on that debate, man. That lady in the red, I'm sorry, she does not represent all Trump supporters, and I wish those people would just go away. Like, get some intellectual people, black folks like you and other black conservatives who can articulate themselves and bring them out to the debate stage. And that's pretty much all I want to say, bro.
All right, thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate you.
All right, take care, boss.
All right, peace. All righty. Well, that'll be right for the show. If you were not able to get on, I'm sorry, but I got to go ahead and wrap it on up, put a bow on the top. and thank y'all for joining tonight. This has been a good one. If you've not liked the video, please go ahead and do that for me. That'd be great. And what I got, hold on one second. I got super chats to read, and then I wrap on up. Shout out to Mark T, who says, talk about the vaccine being forced on Africans. I have seen that. It was these two French guys talking about, well, not just French guys, you're talking about like some doctors or something, talking about, well, look, you have vulnerable populations in Africa and they don't have any kind of protection. So we could try it there. It's like we try AIDS stuff with African prostitutes. Oh, they were dead. It said it on like a camera, like an interview and everything. It was crazy. I don't know if they were on TV or what, but yeah, they did say that. I might do a video about that, maybe, if I can find some more information. But thank you for that super chat. Definitely appreciate you. Shout out to Brian Nolan, who says, if you like what ABL does for us, show him some love with a tip. Come on, guys, you can do it, please. And thank you for that, man. I really appreciate you for that one. Shout out to Black Heights, who says, how much I need to pay you for an interview, ABL? $300 to $500. Love what you do and would love to have your intellect to help educate the youth and the folks that aren't where they need to be or where they want to be. Thank you for that. Hey, man, you want an interview, just email me, contact@anthonyblogan.com. Again, contact@anthonyblogan.com. All right. Shout out to Brian Nolan, who says, come on, you bums. Show ABL some love. You can afford it. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Shout out to Fast Pony for the donation. Thank you to Matthew Richardson for the donation, who says, like and share this channel. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to Lewis Sutton, who says, I remember when I lived in Washington State, white liberals told me how disadvantaged I was, and I made more money than all of them. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like you over here trying to tell me, oh, you're so disadvantaged and this happened. Meanwhile, I'm over here, throwing money from, what I'm saying? So I just don't like that whole thing. This whole thing of, oh, you're weak. Like I said earlier, the white supremacist and the white liberal, it ain't that much of a difference. The white supremacist thinks that black folks are inferior and he enjoys it. He likes it. He wants it to remain that way. The white liberal thinks that black folks are inferior and he does not like it. And he wants to change it. He wants to try and like beat his own self in the face, like hurt himself to make you feel better. You understand what I'm saying? But the the tie that binds them together is that they both think that black folks are inferior. They just feel differently about it. It's all the same. And that's part of the reason why I left the left. When I found that out, when I really discovered it and see how they think, it's the same as white supremacists. I don't really see a difference. And then you're talking about harm. I mean, what is white supremacists? The white supremacists might join the Klan and he might hurt you from the Klan, but that doesn't really happen. The white liberal will go into a Planned Parenthood, become a doctor, and kill you there. But I digress. Shout out to Pamela Martin for the emoji super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you to Crush Groovin, who says, missing full shows and will be able to see full shows live soon. Cheers, ABL. Thank you for that. Shout out to Chief Rocco, who says, peace, ABL, keep pushing. Thank you for your donation. Shout out to Charles Turner Jr., who says, ABL, Pelosi, and her colleagues started an investigation. Will go nowhere. As far as OAN, they are a great channel. Check out Liz Wheeler, along with you, Jericho Green, John Miller, Daisy Cousins, Sydney Watson, pardon me. You all rock. Thank you for that, man. It means a lot to me to be in such a great company. Shout out to Romney Entertainment, who says, Cuomo, NY close gun shops and ranges to public, but open for military and law enforcement officers. Interesting. So they want those that have the power to have the power, but you can't have any power. Interesting. Shout out to Max Dominguez, who says, there you go. Shout out to you for the donation. Thank you to Captain America Shazam, who says, thank you, ABL. Make America great again. Keep America great. Absolutely. Thank you to my man Snapzilla Gorilla, who says, what's up, ABL? Try to get a call in, but you got too hot. I got some real information about 5G and coronavirus to share. I'll catch you next time. Definitely next time. I'll be streaming again next time. That'll be Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern. And I'll be doing stuff all throughout the week, pre-recorded videos all throughout the week. This particular video you're listening to right now will be available on your favorite audio streaming platform Monday morning. Whether that be iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor, all those platforms will be available for this particular show Monday morning, and the Wednesday show will be out on Friday morning. All right. And I'm doing my website right now, my AnthonyBLogan.com website. I'm getting that tightened up. So that'll be a source of news as well and other information and things about me in case you want to know what's going on. But that will be a wrap. So until next time, y'all be safe. I'm out. And peace.